All about that sound check. How you guys doing? We had a great time yesterday. We got a special guest in today. You already know who he is. The man needs no introduction. He has no problem introducing himself. See. Sounds good? Awesome. Sound is at 138%. That is amazing. We're moving up. We're moving up. December 7th meetup. Still got a few tickets left. It's going down. It's all about Opus. We'll probably do Q&A too. But it's all about Opus. And we got our special friend live from the UK. He's from your neck of the woods, Victoria. Right here. Mr. Martin Liedtke, Flat Earth British. Woo-hoo. Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, California explorer extraordinaire.
Yeah, man. Thank you for the invite, and thank you for the warm welcome, everyone in chat. That was lovely. It's good to be back. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, man. So that's a pretty interesting video you did. You got a lot of traction on that last video. You know, reset populations.
Oh yeah, I'm onto something else as well. Something you'd be interested in, since I definitely am thinking these days that it is a simulation. I've seen a video, and I have done for years anyway. I've been toying with this idea since I seen Bogström back in like 2000 or something. Because it's just trying to make sense of some of the things that I've witnessed in this life. So I seen a video a few weeks ago that said if you stare into, not directly, but into a laser light on a hallucinogenic such as DMT, you see code. So I thought I'd give it a go.
You did it?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Whoa.
You get down there into the fundamentals. I can see the bits of this place anyway. It's all just bytes. I can literally see billions and billions of little dots when I turn the light off at night. If you just stare into the blackness, you can see tiny, tiny little particles, all different colors. And they're not just on a flat plane. They are like three-dimensional. Some of them are here, some of them are further away. And it is that is creating this construct. I can literally see it. And I definitely, you know, there's a lot of people talking about, like, is manifestation a thing? Is this the real term that you should use? And, you know, going back as far as the Abraham Hicks stuff, going back, you know, as far back as then. But I knew as a teenager that I was affecting reality. I knew it. And I tell you what's more as well is I took advantage of it. Yeah. And when I took advantage of it, it came and karma smacked me in the head big time. And I knew as soon as I done it that, you know, I'm playing with fire here. You know, I'm going to have my magical powers like withdrawn at some stage now for this. And I knew it as well when I did it. But it took maybe 25, 30 years to start, you know, getting my powers back and standing in my own power again. Because, you know, this system just dragged me through the mud, you know, dragged me through barbed wire. You know, I felt like best part of 30 years, I felt like I was just being tortured just to be here. And I'm sure a lot of people felt like that in this place. But a complete turnaround in life now. I only think about things in an optimistic frame. I focus my intent clearly. I notice me and you share one talent, Jason. It's that when there's a cacophony of sound and confusion and distraction all around me, I could literally sit there and write a book and blank it all out.
Yeah, I can tune out the entire world, man. But I want to go back to something you just said that you need to. I want, if anything, you know, I'm all about giving credit where it's due. And you're talking about affecting the field, and you've affected the field far more than you know. You may not reap all the benefits for it, but you were putting out material that was innovative, that no one had ever heard of. You and two other guys, I believe, 10 years ago were introducing Tartaria, mud floods, reset theory. I mean, I've read your book. Now, I didn't read it all because you personalize in that book. You go through some things, and then when you switch back into the history and the archaeology and the philosophy, I'm deep into it. And then you talk about your personal life and all that. And I have this filter when I'm reading all my books. The reason I read so much material is because I stick to the bibliographic facts.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like ad hominem stuff that writers put in there. And I understand that. My own books are devoid of that. I don't like Lost Scriptures of Giza, and all my books are just sticking with here are the facts, here's who said them, and all that. Your book is huge. So your book is huge, and you put your personal life into it a lot. So
Yeah.
I kind of scan over that type of stuff. But the reason I'm saying this is because you have affected the field. There are hundreds of content creators that have emerged in the last decade that have freely borrowed your concepts or material. Now, they've introduced some of their own research. A lot of them have just taken your stuff word for word and then reposted it as if it was their own, used AI and Chat GPT to repackage it to make it look like it wasn't Martin Leakey. So I just want to let you know, bro, you have affected the field.
Thanks.
I mean, you had already done that before I even entered the YouTube universe.
So I'm over that now. Anyway, there was a period in my life where I was thinking, like going through TikTok and just seeing like things that come up my head, just flicking through, and like literally 1.5 million views on a 3-minute video of one of my conceptions, and maybe hundreds and hundreds of videos that have gone, channels that have just gone viral and just completely surpassed anything that subscribers and views amount, completely viral. And there are stacks of these. But okay, stop there. So I'm good with that now, and this is why. I've studied a lot of philosophers in my life. In fact, since I was a boy, I've studied the philosophers. I was big into Alan Watts early on, McKenna, these type of people. But the closest to the information, to the correct information, yourself. And there's a lady, one of the cleverest people of the 20th century, Ayn Rand. And she talked and wrote a book about a guy called the Architect. And the Architect was a creative content maker. He designed buildings. And the Architect would not compromise his artistic quality. The Architect, everybody would try and offer him the world, offer him money to change his buildings, but he stood close to it. He stood to his mark, and he stood in his own power. He ended up literally smashing stones in a quarry, just when he could have had it all, just to prove to himself. But it all came back to him tenfold because he didn't give away his integrity. He stood in his own power the whole way through, and they did bend. They were, these people, they were adamant. He had a working business model. The guy was worth $1 billion, and they wanted to just manipulate him. But the guy, he just knew. They just knew he couldn't be bent, and he couldn't be, molded into this thing they wanted. And he stood his ground, and it all came back to him. And I like to think myself as that Architect. The content, it's all out there in the ether now, and I'm glad that everyone's run away with it, and I'm glad that everyone built upon it. I've made videos, and a day later, one of the other content providers, Static in the Attic or John Levy or Conspiracy, or so one of them would adapt to it, and then it would take it forwards, and then I bounce off of that, and it was brilliant, at the time to do video collaborations in such a manner and take this thing forwards, because the movement has to move forward.
When's the last time you talked to Static? I tried to get him on my channel, man, but I think I got a polite decline.
Nah, man, I've never talked to him in my life, or I don't know who any of them are. You don't see their faces, you don't know their names. I'm not saying anything dicky is going on. I'm just saying that they're just not one of the community. You got your massive gang over here. I got my happy gang over my end, all doing our thing. And I've been, I'm 10 years into this now, just after Christmas, I'll be going to my 10th year of YouTube. And all the channels that started out when I started out in Flat Earth, they're long gone. They're long gone. All of the channels. It's hardly any of the original content providers. I stuck with it. I stuck with it, and I just kept on going and overlooked everything that was happening. Tried to not let it affect me. And now it doesn't affect me, because now I know all's good. Because and I'm not done yet. I got like yourself, I just don't even think I've reached my zenith of information yet. This philosophy, all of them, Socrates, Plato, we could go right the way back, Jason. And, hardly any of them are really resonating for me. You know, I'm looking, you know, there's something, you know, off that, you know, how do you explain this in my life and this experience in my life? They haven't nailed it down. There's bits and pieces I could take of all of them and build a construct in my mind.
Well, I mean, you're talking about the philosophers, and if you're going to address simulation theory from the perspective of philosophy, we still can't get around what the hell influenced Plato to provide us such a visual imagery of the shadows on the wall actually thinking that they are real. You remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, well, the Stoics were a think tank. They were an intellectual think tank. They used to just, you know, philosophize. Whatever. It's the same question that we all have, isn't it? Is what is this place? You know, what actually is it? And then things happen that, you know, synchronicities and things that are like magic, you know, meeting certain people, certain events, certain places, certain settings, deja vu, other things, you know. You know, you start to question, you know, what is this reality? You know, I seem to be able to, you know, interact with it. I seem to be able to change it. And your respect and my respect, we've literally done that, you know, we've affected, you know, the whole of the history timeline. There's just no doubt about it. You with your chronology and your chrolindics, me with, you know, what I proposed and what I will be proposing tomorrow, later on, and stuff like that.
Oh, you're doing Flatter Day today, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is, you know, a lot of the pics and the settings in these old Victorian pictures, I've noticed that they're all jumbled up. They're all jumbled up. Like you have cities that are literally eradicated, and then they're back a little while later, and then they have these great expositions, you know, and they have multiple events, and they're always rebuilt, and these are supposed to be the original buildings. It's almost as if they're on two different timelines, come from two different dimensions. And what I'm going to use as an example later is something that really, I know I'm onto something with this because I just know when I am, is the Art Deco movement and the Art Nouveau movement. They both arrived at the same time, and they are worlds apart. So there's all the architects at the time who are like, you know, trying to advance, you know, make a statement of what this period is going to look like. And then they bump up the Chrysler building. Yeah, it only remains the highest building in the world for 8 months until the Empire State Building, just over there, a few blocks down, rises above it. It's just like, well, why would you make the effort? But this brick building up, and it's just something totally off. You know, they said it was a building of multiple errors, you know, in it. It was just like, it made no sense. The building is when you look into it, is a serious enigma for its time. You know, it's supposed to be 1930. And the evidence that is, you know, supporting these, you know, I've got towns in the past where there's a clock tower in one, and then later on the places is got no clock tower. Example, Cincinnati. And it's like, why are they removing these clocks out of the towers, and why are they then back then later? And you try to piece the timeline together, and it makes zero sense. It's all jumbled up. All of these American city fires, all jumbled up. The only sense I can make out of it is I was thinking a while back that it might be the mobile phones that are doing it. They say that they tear off new dimensions every time you take a photograph or make a video. This is why the Native Americans were like, whoa, don't take a photograph of me, please.
Yeah.
You're my soul. And if these new timelines are just breaking off every time you make a video, and it's just to the point now where it's just so fractured on, you know, down on the fractal scale, it's so fractured that it is starting to get jumbled. And I really do think that there's some sort of, with the resets and what you talk about, I think there's some sort of convergence of all of the timelines, like that there's no time really. If you're in the trenches of the First World War battling in 1915, that guy in the trenches, he's there now. He's there now in his 1915, in his moment. And I'm in your 2025 moment. There's no separation. You know, quantum mechanics will teach you that anyway, between these times. So he's existing there, and I'm existing now. So to me, I think that all of history is going to wake up simultaneously at the same moment. I don't think it's just going to be just our culture here is just going to wake up to all of the lies and what's been going on. I think that all of history is going to wake up. And it won't be just a moment of hurrah for everybody in this reality. It'll be the biggest thing that ever is imaginable. That's what I think is going to be possible. I think that because all of these psyops and all of this control mechanism is exactly the same 150 years ago, 200 years ago. They had a police state, total control of the masses. It's just the same.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'd say, didn't you share with me one time from the 1880s magazine? Because I have them. I thought I got them from you. But from the 1880s, there were magazine articles with pictures showing people warning others about don't take the vax. Do not take the vax. It's from the devil. This is the 1880s.
Yeah, man. Before then, I got some as early as the 1700s. This has been going on. Yeah, really. Yeah, 18th century paintings and pictures from Hogarth.
I'm going to share that again. I'm going to share that one again.
There's an advert that just came on my monitor for YouTube earlier, telling people to go and get them now because it's winter. So there's just
Trump's back in power, so now the vax is okay again. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you what you think about that, because yesterday, the whole of Britain was on jitters because they was like on a verge of World War III yesterday here apparently. So so they closed. There was all like events that weren't happening, but they said they were happening. They closed the busiest airport in the world down, Heathrow, and Gatwick, London Airport down. And evacuated everyone to the freezing frost outside. And then there was supposed to be a controlled explosion outside of the US Embassy in London, which is a big no-no and trouble.
Right.
Yeah. And all this happened yesterday, and it was just complete confusion. The whole country went into complete meltdown yesterday because of a Putin threat. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, so that was yesterday, and today it's just like the Big Brother book. Hey ho, I'm on the show. Nothing's going on, but we're supposed to have had another war raging that everyone's supposed to be concerned about. It's just, everything's just a narrative, and that's what I'm going for the past as well. It's just they seem to be.
Well, you make a point. I want to listen. About 3 years ago, the amount of information coming in from all the emails, and I'd already done about 4 or 5 videos just on the year 1902, the last Phoenix year, and I'm overwhelmed with the community sending me so much information about what they found, because I had put a challenge out there. It says, hey guys, in the mainstream, there's almost nothing reported about 1902. But if you look in the microfiche in your own little individual communities, you're going to find all kinds of things. And people were sending me all kinds of stuff about like the U.S. Bureau of the Census Bureau. Yeah. It allegedly started in 1890 or something, but its first public records were 1902. And then all the national parks have plaques, and people are sending me pictures from all over the United States saying, "Damn, all the national parks started in 1902." So it's
British National Library burned down as well, 1902. The Birmingham Library.
1902 has so many anomalies that it actually fits your theory, but. It was about 3 years ago I came up with an idea, and I haven't been able to shake it. And it's very relative to what you just described. You just described 2 different major movements in the Art Deco and the Nouveau Fair? What was it? The other style of art? Okay, so and they coexisted, but they're contrarian. So I came up with an idea about 3 years ago, and I'm still entertaining it. That because this is it's basically a perceiver based reality. It doesn't mean it's real. We could be experiencing multiple different timelines, and yet the editing process would go virtually unnoticed because we're inside the bubble. We wouldn't actually see it, but except for little things like you just noticed. Wait a minute. These are contrary philosophies, yet they're coexisting perfectly, and they seem to have just appeared out of nowhere. Yeah. So what if it is true? In a simulation, who says that we're all on one single timeline, all experiencing all these things together? Because in Archaix, we've documented way too many anomalies. It doesn't seem like one timeline. It seems like in 1902, a convergence of timelines began, and 1902 all the way up until 2020, because we know in 2020 everything changed. Everything changed really weird in 2020. So what if all these independent timelines that everybody's experiencing and stuff in their own, because somebody in the comment section did make a good point. They made a good point as you were speaking. They said that the simulation is highly personal and we're all in our own simulations, and yet they all overlap. Okay,
yeah.
well, if that's the case, then the construct itself is going to need to monitor the amount of energy input required to do all this processing power. There's no better way than to start once a simulation reaches like a certain per capita of energy expenditure. The best thing to do to save energy is edit it into another pre-existing timeline. Now you're using the same amount of energy, but you got twice the amount of data. Then you make the necessary edits so the people inside both simulations don't really realize they've just been merged into another holography. And then once they've gotten used to that, you can filter out the few souls that they lose their minds because they understand, they see what's going on. Those on hallucinogens that actually see what happened and then think they're still tripping when the hallucinogen is no longer working, you can edit them out as crazy. You can start putting people in insane asylums. You can filter people out into prisons and all that. But the rest of the population is fooled. Then you bring in your next timeline. You merge that. But the editing process is always leaving these little fossils, these little things that you and I and other researchers find that is still in the programming, showing evidence of its previous existence, even though in our timeline it could have never happened.
Yeah, so well put. Exactly that. And this place is energy reserving, as you know, this it's an energy conserver. So that would make perfect sense to converge two timelines to suck the energy off of that one. But yeah, some parts of this I'm scratching my head, and the only conclusion I come up to is that anyway, it's impossible for some of these things to be taking place if you go with the narrative, what if because I've been in the camp of saying this for a couple of years now, especially since 2020, is it just doesn't seem like the same place anymore. Everything feels different. The colors and the hues are different. The seasons are definitely different. The sun's different. The people, they're dressed differently. They look different. The food tastes different. All of a sudden, flavors just bland, and just something's going on with the food as well. And around that time, they said, expect that the food might taste off, that you've got Rona, is what they said at the time. But no, because everybody's saying the same thing, is the food is off. There's something going on with it. And
there's no doubt. There's no doubt the food's off. Yeah, I'm totally on board with that, because listen, man, more than 50-60% of the foods we get in restaurants now is absolutely fake. This is lab created. This is lab created BS.
So I was thinking, I don't actually want to be rich, but I don't want them to be rich. I don't want them to be rich.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, because this disproportional wealth, is just like unbelievable. The whole world could be fixed overnight, but they're not going to do that anytime hurry. Now, what I have noticed, and I mentioned before, is they're not really planning for the future. Everything that they're building is these temporary buildings. What is their end game? Are they just fluffing up and making out that everything's all right on the surface?
Okay, everything on the surface is being built of combustible materials that can go up in flames very fast.
Oh, yeah.
This has been changing. Yeah, in the last 20, 30 years, the building materials are highly flammable now. A whole bunch of them that are coming out. Yes, temporary structures, no doubt. But in the underground, they're building structures that are going to last. There's no doubt.
I think that's what they're doing, is going underground. The Norwegians and the Swedish, for definite, are underground. They just got a massive mountain ranges with these huge city-sized installations inside them. It's just incredible. You see them on YouTube, just like highways inside of mountains, just nuts. So they've definitely been doing that, and they know how this place works, and the evidence is on the ground. Yeah, the evidence is overwhelming that it's true. Is this place has been reset in the past. The classical world, or whatever you want to call it, got completely smashed. There was some sort of what looks like flood damage, or even plasma damage, some kind of melted areas as well. So this place has been really messed up. There's been cataclysms, no doubt about it. And as you know, all the literature has been telling us about everything from, Homer to the Holy Bible is reset. So the evidence is on the ground. So that's definite. So the powers that should not be, they know this. And they used to build everything to prepare for them. These big old, what were they called, Tatarian buildings, these big old buildings. They got like granite bottoms. They're solid buildings that, even a small tsunami would not take these out. And then they say, all of these buildings you see, like in America, your city halls, like the Austin Capitol building and the Capitol building itself in Washington, classical buildings, which, some people are saying, hang on a minute, is this the classical world? Because they're telling us in the official narrative that they had an episode where they went from these wooden houses into the neoclassical revival and then just started building Rome all over again. So hang on, maybe it's just not Rome all over again in neoclassical revival. Maybe it's just Rome, or what they call, the classical world. So I definitely think a lot of these buildings that are around in America and all over the world are from this old world. I think that the evidence is just too much now. If you turn this into a court case, they say it's all based on, circumstantial evidence, but there is plenty of direct evidence. You just get out on the streets, have a look at these buildings for yourself. Britain is covered with cataclysm affected buildings. We have four.
I agree.
In Scotland that are vitrified, guys. They say it's from the comet of the first millennium AD that it literally vitrifies.
Well, I would like to add to that because it is my opinion, it's my educated opinion based off all this material that as far as the human population goes, we were back down to 1% in 522 AD during the 25-year Justinian darkness. It was during the 25-year Justinian darkness, starting in 522 AD, that all kinds of cataclysms happened all over the world, back to back to back to back. And one of them was an impact event in the UK. Now, I don't know what impacted. It could have been subterrestrial. It could have been something underground that detonated. But we're being told. We're being told. Say it again.
I heard one theory that this comet that came from like the area of South America came across Britain, skipped, vitrified these, and then somehow ended up taking out the Indus Valley civilization. Apparently, it's the same event. And as you know, Mohenjo-Daro, vitrified forts, animals are untouched. Some terrible event had gone on there. They say, I've seen some theory saying that all of this was the same event. And the touchdown for this body, this thing that came in, was the Mongolian, the Gobi Desert. And there's literally a line you can follow that it's like on the world map, on a Mercator map, though.
I'd like to see that because I do have some information on the Mongolian impact event.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole bunch of areas that are beneath the sand that have been vitrified, and scientists used to call them tektites. Tektites were that's like green glass. They thought it fell from space. They thought it fell from space, but it's actually it's from intense heat being applied to the desert sand so rapidly that it literally crystallizes into glass.
Yeah. They said they had the same end of the Trinity
as well.
Yeah. They say Tutankhamun had jewels in his tomb that were vitrified glass, Libyan glass. So some sort of event happened in Africa for sure to heat enough, with this sand into glass. So the evidence is there. So, I know the elites know this, but they're not preparing the buildings in such a way. The only time we're useful for them is in a war anyway. And there could be, one coming. And that is the only time. Okay. They use these scams like the health and the hell and everything else that they use to keep the numbers down. I don't think there's nowhere near as the population as they say there is. I know they say there's 8 billion, but I don't think there is because countryside's completely empty and everyone's just crushed into these cities. So it's only their word for it. And they're taking the censuses after all. And they're a private, BlackRock company. So let's just all take that with a pinch of salt with the numbers in this place. So they don't really need everybody. Okay, they only need us for this energy thing. We're giving off our electricity, our energy into this construct, and that is, I think, what they do. I think that they are energy vampires, and they need negative energy to feed themselves. These whatever they are, the people that rule this place, because they're not benevolent. Let's be honest. They wouldn't treat them. There's no way that I'd run the world like this for start off.
Right.
Share. Well, what did Mark Twain said? Two things certain in this: like taxes and death. Is that it? It's like, well, I don't think simulation theory undermines the human soul in any way, though I've been thinking about it quite recently, actually, thinking that, does it undermine you in a spiritual sense? And I thought, no, it doesn't, because, everything's electric in this place anyways, and our souls, or our spark is electric in this construct, or whatever this computer is.
Hey, you see the what's on the screen?
Sorry. Oh, yeah. Oh my God! Yeah, I remember that.
1892. Listen, this is 1892, and people in the public are warning other people about, hey man, don't do this. But look at the tagline at the bottom of the black and white. Is revaccination necessary? December 1892. This implies that they weren't just giving people one shot. Even in the 1890s, they were trying to get them to take two.
Yeah. I've got a book over there from 1858, and they were doing it in there as well. What they call the time of reform. But yeah, this is just ongoing.
So I was concerning this real quick. We'll get back to our topic. I was shocked to see recently that Fauci was a part of a study in like 2016 or 2017. Fauci was a part of a study. It was a think tank. What they found out in the study was the topic of research was the Great Typhus and 1917 to 1919, the epidemic. It was just really a flu, but influenza. The great influenza epidemic, and it killed like 60 million people worldwide.
So they say, but go and have a look in the cemeteries and try and find out if that's true, Jason.
Okay. That's, if the narrative's not true, that's fine. But Anthony Fauci was a part of a think tank that was researching that period, and the conclusion to the research was that influenza did not kill 60 million people, and that 80% of the deaths were actually caused by rebreathing bacteria because they wore their masks all day long.
Yeah, well, there's that as well, but I think it was the reintroduction of electromagnetic technologies in the Great War.
Radio, Marquion's radio. They started
and then radar World War II, and guess what? They had an epidemic straight after World War II, and guess what? They just brought another change in the electromagnetic technology. I don't need to name it. And they basically, since then, they told us there might be physical effects and that. So it could be a case that a lot of the illness and that was everyone just acclimatizing to the electromagnetic radiation.
Yeah.
Because, the effects of all of this, and even going way back, Jason, if you go back to the 18th century, you've got a spell where you see the people with bald heads and they're wearing wigs. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the official narrative for that is society were all affected by syphilis. Okay. So everyone was affected by a sexually transmitted disease, and they lost their hair, and they covered their skin because they had lesions, and they covered their skin with this whitening powder. And this is the women and the men. The fact is that what they're explaining there is actually the symptoms of radiation poisoning: hair loss, lesions, paling. And you can follow this same trend right the way through. And I think it is, a lot of this is, technology related illnesses. I've seen, like, literally, I got a book that I could share. I don't want to talk about it, but there was a guy in a war doing experiments, and he was like literally licked a snotty nose, and he didn't get affected. It don't work.
Yuck, man. Why do you put that in my head, man? Say.
Sorry, but just an example of how hard it would be to actually get affected that way.
Check this out. This is just my favorite hat, but I got a technological hat. The one you're describing that they wore in the 1860s, 70s, and 80s and 90s that protected them from a different sky, something that was going on. The whole Old West period is all bullshit. You know that. I mean, the Civil War. You know the Civil War period. Me and you did that video together.
Oh yeah,
Civil War's bullshit. So check this out. I'm gonna show you some technologically sophisticated shit that people wore in the 1870s. I'll show it to you right now.
The plot pickens. Hi guys.
Hey, say man, don't be laughing at my sophistication, bro.
Oh, you gotta be joking. You gotta top that.
There it is.
So why do you think they were so high then? Do you think that they had ice bags inside them for air conditioning to keep your head cool?
I don't know, man, but it's really unusual that the pictures. Listen, we don't have any pictures of Civil War battlefields. We have no photographs of Civil War activity. We have none of that stuff. And the main argument is that, hey, cameras weren't developed. They had to be still for a long time, and anything moving would mess it up. And yet, you and I showed in that video, there are photographs from the 1850s of horse races, of rivers, of trees blowing in the wind, and didn't affect the cameras then. So that excuse, and then we showed the. You remember the U.S. government the official U.S. government archives on the Civil War is terrible. There's no pictures of battles. There's no pictures of anything. And there's one picture of 3 bloated bodies. But those could have been from the Boer War.
Yeah, that's I got them photos. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
Alexander Gardner, who's the first official war correspondent, who's the photographer of the American Civil War, he states, because he wrote a biography, he states that he set up all of them bodies. Okay.
Yeah.
And the ones that are in Antietam, they're dummies. Yeah, you can see string on their wrists. I'll show you.
It's so dumb. It's all so dumb. It's dumb.
Yesterday, I downloaded a set of photographs. I downloaded like maybe 10,000 pictures, all rare, never seen before this week. Super excited about them. But there's one set of photographs from 1856 of the Battle of Waterloo. So that was supposed to have happened 1815, and there was supposed to be hundreds of thousands of men fell in this field, all around a farmhouse. And the photographs, supposed to be like 40 years on, is just not really. It's just not showing this. It's just craziness. Let me just share screen. The American Civil War is one of my favorite subjects. I've been reading about this forever. The prisoner war camp as well. You know what they say, Andersonville, one of the worst places imaginable, they say. Look at the size of these front lines, though, and the campments. So they're supposed to be having Napoleonic battles, and all you ever seen is trenches, preparations, the odd man standing around. And
I get it. You never really see evidence that there was a huge war. You just don't see it.
You just think that it would be such an impressive sight to see a couple of 100,000 actually men opposing one another on a front line. That would be worth a photograph, wouldn't it? It really would.
It would have made their career. Anybody who would have taken those pictures, it would have made their career to show these. You don't think Ulysses Grant would not have a picture of him in front of all his senior officers, in front of all his heavy cannons and armament? Yeah, Gatling guns. You don't think they would have been staged and all these? It just didn't happen.
It's really weird, about the photographs of the generals. Okay, like Ulysses S. Grant, he's the leader of the Union Army. He looks like a tramp. You see, General Sherman, who has done that war of aggression in the South. You see General Sherman, and he literally looks like he's a dominout. Honest to God. Why are all of the most powerfulest men in America, including this guy here, Lincoln, who's talking to McCulloch here, who won't get a move on because he says it's all about preparation, He's like, but I've been waiting 6 months and pouring millions of dollars in it. Do you think you can have a battle already? And he's saying, and he walked away, and he famously said, Abraham Lincoln, McCulloch's got the slows, apparently. because he wants to prepare. Basically, he doesn't want to go and fight anybody.
But I mean, even look at the table. Look at the table with Abraham Lincoln's on, dude.
He's the president of America. Yeah, and
then, you got an American flag draped over a table. I'm sorry, man, but these
so
that would have been sacrilege back then. It's almost a staged photograph, and let me explain. Because, in the Archaix research, I have a tenet that I go by. If something is true somewhere, it's probably true everywhere. And we've already seen evidence that high sophistication and technology has existed in the past. Therefore, it's probably continued somewhere. So who's to say that all these photographs that we've been seeing that are very highly suspicious to us, they're suspicious to us because they're AI generated by software engines and programs that existed prior to the same technologies being released for the private sector on the surface. These same AI technologies, they've been around forever. Let me give you some examples.
Yeah, man.
Okay. We already know, because we're doing it now, that many of the monuments that are found in Vietnam, in Laos, in Cambodia, Southeast Asia, parts of China and India, we already know that architecture can be created in 3D printing. How do we know it? Because people are doing it now. They're 3D printing miniature models of these badass, elaborately carved, like Angkor Wat, of these badass little temples and shit with all this intricate stuff. That it's like, man, how the hell did you chisel that with stone? It's not. It's 3D printing. So, in the same token, recently I've been entertaining on my channel that the biblical material by the historical record shows that it's a bunch, it's just a collage of writings from the ancient world that was all put together. So who took that collage and ran it through software, check this out, making all these amazing multiple layers of synchronicities from text to text, numerical values, gematria, using only the same prepositional phrases in certain texts that would make you build a picture when you use a Strong's Concordance. I believe the Bible is AI generated. So I'm always showing information about this. So who's to say? Because remember, in 1902, air conditioning came out, vacuum cleaners came out. Almost everything we have in our daily life today, all of a sudden was introduced in 1902. So it's these images you show. It's almost as if they're all. I mean, how many times have I said it, Martin? Especially concerning 1902, it's almost as if somebody in the underworld just released their libraries and all their inventions in the same year. All the Fortune 500 companies, what happened? They started in 1901 and 1902 and 1903. So it's I believe that you're suspicious for a reason. You're suspicious because your intuition is flaring up, and you know these pictures are fucking bullshit, and you can see the staging. Who would have put an American flag over a table draped like that? The soldiers would have been pissed.
And they're using propaganda for brainwashing as well. The reason I'm cured myself and I'm okay now is because I literally mind controlled myself. I literally unplugged from their mind control and I turned it back around and I thought about me and I like literally conditioned my mind into focusing correctly. And not like whimsical, wasted thought patterns, keeping the truth and the job at hand that we're doing here, But my spidey sense has been tingling with things like this, these Lead Van der Haar atlases is where I picked up about Antiquitech and the real history, right? I don't know if you can see it on the screen, can you? Am I sharing?
Yep.
Yeah. So they're from 1733. I had my life threatened for showing these. I had dodgy emails saying, okay, 2 people that looked into Flemish art with the name of Liedtke in the past are both dead. Do you want to just stop showing these? And they show like an alternative history of an international force of Tartars and Cossacks, which are, literally ransacking the world. And, there's a book called Peter Struve's Voyages to Tartaria from 1690s. And this guy's a member of the East India Company. And on his voyage, although it is propaganda, he talks about the whole world being in destruction. He goes to Astrakhan, as you know, one of the Italian.
What book is this? What book is this?
But the Voyages of Peter Strauss. He's a Dutchman from the Dutch East India Company.
Is he related? Is he related to the Strauss Empire?
No, it's not Strauss. That's he's Strauss is Austrian. It's not spelled in the same way. It's Steyres. Strauss. Peter Strauss.
Dude, listen. I have on my Phoenix timeline. I have a destruction in 1626 caused by the Phoenix, and yet I can't find anything but the differences between maps from the 1620s, but I mean the 1610s and 20s and late 1500s, and then the maps after 1626 are all very different. So
what did you say? 1212 for the first appearance of Tartaria.
1212 is when Tartaria entered the historical record, and it was a Phoenix event. If you're telling me that this dude is talking about the world being destroyed in the early 1600s, then we have a 414-year period, which is a Phoenix cursed Earth period of time that Tartaria was survived. And what's interesting is that Tartaria literally gave birth to one of the most powerful empires in the world, which is the Ottoman Empire, because Uthman, the founder of the Ottoman Empire, the historical record says that Uthman was a Tartarian.
And this is why you've got all of this Ottoman Moorish type of architecture splattered all over America, which you have. There's the corn exchanges, the buildings and the style of some of the expositions is Ottoman by feel. But there is a mixture. What's happened is I don't know whether one came in and built on top of the other, Jason, because a lot of the what you would call Tartarian style / maybe Ottoman, a lot of them have got added Baroque style pillars and belfries that seem to be added later. So same with this Phoenician narrative of bricking up and covering up the fronts of red brick buildings. That surely happened because all of those facades, if you peel back all of those facades, you get down, they're all red brick buildings. So yeah, with these here, I was wondering how these got manufactured. They're saying they're engravings, but they show 1,000 things happening all at the same time. I'm like, well, apart from the narrative, it's like, 1700s, King Leopold the Pole is apparently, a Caesar, and all of this Romanesque style of living is all supposed to be going down. You got like the Parisian hat, death over, which is used, you mentioned last night, the French Revolution, just completely bullshit. Yeah. There's no evidence. They should have had photographs of Napoleon. They got photographs of the Duke of Wellington. Why not Napoleon? He's one of the most famous.
The French Revolution was the same thing as the Bolshevik Revolution. They weren't really revolutions. They were actually tiny hat takeovers of the monarchies. That's what it was. So
whoever's ruling the world at this period of 1733, this emblem of intertwined M's is everywhere. At first, I was thinking it was Medici. I was thinking it was Mordecai. I can't actually find out who this ruling Genesis, this dynasty, who King Leopold is part of, and this current imposter dynasty that we got in Britain at the present in Europe. But how is he doing it? You get the Phoenicians, like you got the Fiona, the Diana deity dropping money to the the hungry, poverty-stricken people. But there's the belly dancer, and it's just, how is he doing it? And I thought he was using a photographic process and then putting it onto maybe a silk screen and then etching it out later to catch a moment, which would mean that these scenes were actually happening. I was like, hang on a minute, because I got biblical ones that are showing biblical events. He wasn't there at the time, but yet there's 10,000 things happening in these images, and they're all from a bird's eye perspective. How's he doing that? How is he projecting a city that hasn't been yet to and visited in his mind's eye, and then etching it out from a perspective, and they're all at the same perspective of around 45 degrees, all of them in antiquity. Google images of any American city, bird's eye image, and they're all from the same angle. They're all from the same.
There's your Phoenix. There's your Phoenix in the left corner.
So it is. Yeah. So yeah, these blew my mind when I started discovering these. Like I said, and I knew there was something up with them, because it was just like, one, why are they showing us an alternative history to what the history books are actually telling us? Why would that be? And you know, and I discovered and I looked into these things. Then I was like, whoa. So what? They got buildings based on fractal geometry. They're supposed to be the antique world. How can they even know this stuff? So, you know, I think they were super advanced in the past in one of these resets. Do you think that we are actually people that have descendancy here? What I mean is there's the narrative for people who have been brought into the civilization called arrivals from maybe an underground lab. I've been watching a TV series, you'd love it, Jason, called The Witcher. It's absolutely fantastic. They have portals in it. They're portal jumping, witches with telekinetic powers and overlapping timelines, which I thought was really interesting. But it's all based in a time without like technologies, but everything's based on magic. And it occurred to me, like, it's like, what if that was the case? That, you know, these, you know, everyone had these alchemical skills and these bases to do, you know how this place works in a different, you know, atmosphere, because maybe a post vapor canopy period would have been,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
it would be very easy if there is a subterrestrial civilization of humans that have always had technology. It would be so easy that after there's been a reset on the surface caused by cataclysm protocols that the underworlders cannot control, it would be very easy for them to introduce, you know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8-year-olds who would be under the stewardship and guidelines of adults on the surface and regrow a whole nother population within 30 to 40 years and give them an education that's totally different than the one that's actually true. And then that generation grows up and they're teaching the next generation that's naturally born on the surface, not coming from the underworld anymore. Yeah, I mean,
wow.
It does look to me that populations, because this is something I theorized long before I met you and talked. I was already theorizing that the underworld is sending things to the surface periodically. I had never until I started talking to you put it together that the orphan trains, the asylums, and all that had anything to do with the Phoenix. That was always separate. It was always separate
the
in my
maths
mind.
don't tally up, you know. It's just too many parents for the amount of children. There must have been like millions killed. where what happened then? So these children are reared somewhere else, and with the evidence of the incubators and everything else, I definitely think that this is.
See, I think where we have our problems is when people are listening to us. Not everybody. We got a lot of intelligent people in the chat, but
Sure.
you got a lot of intelligent people in your community. But when people new to these concepts listen to us, they think we're madmen, and it's because it's not their fault. It's because they're not processing the idea that copy machines, faxes, cell phone technology, radio technology, anti-gravity propulsion mechanisms.
Oh yeah, check this
they've
one.
existed for thousands of years, and there's a breakaway civilization in the underworld that's never lost that technology. And they have to hide that technology from observers on the surface under the guise of trolls, hobgoblins, and now, because of our new frames of reference being technologically advanced, the new mask is ETs, aliens, extraterrestrials. But 600 years ago, they didn't need to. They called them mowing devils. They called them demons. You know, they called them fiends. And, you know, 200-300 years before that, they were called them grindles. They called them monsters. So it's I'm thinking that the real problem is that the reason we haven't put all this together before is because it's almost unbelievable that a breakaway civilization would continually feed the surface with all this information. But I will never be able to divorce myself from the anomaly of 1902. All the entire list of things that suddenly appeared in the world in 1902 with no precedent. To me, that is the absolute proof that a breakaway civilization is trying to continue civilization on the surface without that civilization knowing what just happened to all their moms and dads.
They call it a schism. Somebody said something to me in San Diego when we were there. There was this like, it was a really interesting chap. He was like a hippie guy. I don't know if you remember him. He was like very like dressed like an old-fashioned person, dandy or something. He was really interesting. And he said to me, "Oh, do you remember one day walking down the road?" He said, because most people have been like measured to forget. But he said that the sky cracked open, and then basically there was a big light flash, and then we all just carried on. I was like, "No, not." And I stopped and I was like, hang on, do I actually remember that? Because it shot me to my garden gate, looking into a westerly direction and sort of remembering something like that, maybe going down. And I can't really remember anymore. So I'm wondering if these edits are in our memory, that we could dig them up, because there's some sort of memory there of, and we're in a completely different world than before, Jason. You remember the world of the 80s, man. Yeah,
hell yeah. 80s was so
characters. Yeah, everyone was a character. And now everyone's just a carbon copy of one another. I can't even tell them apart. They're all doing exactly the same thing, dressed, thinking the same, dressed the same. And I don't even know when this happened. And do you know what? They're all dressing the same everywhere in the world. Like everywhere.
Hey, say Martin, hey, the beer guy's trying to come on. Can you send him a link or don't? Send him a link.
Yes, of course I can. Yeah. I'll leave that
send
to
him
me.
a join link. Thank you,
Yes,
Don.
so Richard's an old mate. Met him first in 2016 at Flat Earth, big Flat Earth convention. And he's my buddy. We get messed up. We have a good time. I'll just send it to him. No, I did send him an email because he's supposed to remember what show he's saying. For fuck's sake, he's saying.
Oh, it doesn't. Hey, it's cool. People pop in. Yesterday, I had a bunch of people popping in.
Oh man, that was a classic moment last night seeing Shem on there. I was
Tartarian Truth.
Yeah, listen, I was rubbing my eyes, but you know what he was saying about Herodotus, and I think the point he's making there was like, who's the source? Where's he getting all his information? It's a good fucking point. But he does to me, it does to me. He says he's like trying to make the best of us. It's like, what is he, man, like Jesus with a pity attitude?
I'm not. I'm going to keep my poker face on.
Yeah.
Tartarian Truth. His name is not Shim Jacobs. It's going to be something else.
He said that. He admits that anyway.
But I'm going to tell you now. Every single time a whole bunch of these so-called truthers all come together and did a hit piece video trying to drag me through the mud and everybody around me through the mud, attacking everybody connected to me. Listen, Tartarian Truth was involved every single time. He's the common denominator between all the attacks for the past 3 years against Archaix.
He looked like he was pretty.
He knows I know this. He knows absolutely I know this, but he keeps his game face on. I respect that. But I also know he's not doing this personally. He's a tiny hat, bro. And somebody is paying him to continue to harass me, and they're getting frustrated because it's done nothing but popularize my channel, man.
Well, he gets his monthly check off Mossad, though, don't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Gaia Network paid that dude to continually do videos on me and spoofs.
I don't know.
Because I'm gonna tell you, I've got no respect for the Gaia Network. Just like Joe Rogan, they got a whole list of shills that they've interviewed. It's like, man, I don't even want to.
A couple of them last week. Fuck me, excuse my language, but oh god, he got some really bad people on there just lately. He had this one guy on there. He was just, oh my god,
terrible, man. Yeah, it's getting terrible. See, I've had problems. I didn't really get started getting attacked vehemently on YouTube until I refused to participate in the. I got an invite to the Los Angeles Expo where all these truthers come together. Billy Carson's there, Graham Hancock. All these people are there. You know what I mean? And everybody has a booth. And they were good, man. I was going to be a keynote speaker. It's multiple floors in a high-rise building, and they do this every year. And man, I told them no. I said, no, hell no. You got this person. You got all these people here now, man. I'm not going. No. Ever since then, yeah, they've been giving me the business.
Yeah, it goes like that. They asked me to go to basically I did a presentation for Alien Event in Las Vegas a few weeks ago, and I smashed it anyway. They said I was the best there. So
hey, man, you should have stopped by in Texas, man.
Well, hang on, I'm just getting to my planage. I haven't got any plan. I just do things Martin ways. So they asked me to go to the one in LA, although they don't pay. And there is a good opportunity here for me. It's probably my biggest opportunity because the people they're presenting are David Childress. Yeah.
I would like to talk to David, even though he signed the contract. Even
See?
yeah, I would like to talk to him because his knowledge on archaeology and ancient
Oh, I like his
civilizations is unparalleled.
Yeah, I love his maglev technology stuff from years ago when he was talking about Vimanas and stuff. I loved all that years ago. He done some unbelievable plans that he drew.
He and I would have an excellent conversation because I have his entire library is at the top of my shelf. It's at the I got him on the top shelf, and all 9 books that he's published are right there. I have his entire series, man. So it's but he's signed the contract. he's now Ancient Aliens. So.
Yeah, man, Ancient Aliens. They got about 3 or 4 Ancient Aliens people there, and the rest like fucking Camelot and Goya, Kerry Cassidy and stuff. So I'm like, are you sure you got this right? You do realize I'm a flat earther, don't you? And I'm flat earth British on YouTube. You know about me, do you? They're like, yeah. I said, I don't think I fit the criteria. They said, no, you do fit the criteria, and we want you to talk about it. So they want me to talk about my reality is from a flat earth perspective, which is now a flat earth simulation perspective, because basically simulated games are built off a flat base anyway, as you know. And they want me to talk about stuff like other worlds and my topics of Tataria and mudflood subjects. And
hey, Dawn keeps saying in the chat, Jason, you have to let the beer guy into the show. There's no way I can let somebody in if he's not going to use that link. Martin's already given him Martin's already sent him the link to his email twice.
I'm just double check.
All he has to do is go open up that email, hit that link, and he'll appear in the backstage. But he's not here.
Yeah, man. Come on, Richard, get your shit. Excuse me. Get your thing together.
Oh, you say shit.
I just can't help myself. I'm trying not to. I don't want to lower the tone of your show or anything. But
when's the last time you've heard anything about Eric Dubay? He did a real good Christian video.
I always watch every one of his videos.
Yeah,
I watch every one of Eric's videos. I know.
Oh, we got somebody popping in backstage.
That's him.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
What's wrong with the filter here, man? You're pretty dark. You need to turn some light on.
Yeehaw! I knew you'd be wearing a hat.
Man, who did you invite on my channel, bro?
Whoa.
I don't know yet. So what is that on your head?
Well, because I'm the beer guy, so I thought I'd get a beer hat. And then I knew that I've been talking to Jason at some point, so I got a cowboy beer hat.
Yeah.
Okay, each to their
own. You got a tube running there from the beer, so you could drink beer while you. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Don't
do this at home. Don't look at him or listen to him.
Well, look, okay? Say I know you guys in the UK are pretty inventive, but I'm gonna have to trump that. I like that hat, but I'm gonna have to trump that. Martin, you're not gonna believe. You know, I went to jail recently to take care of all my old bullshit. I got all that out the way, so I don't have to do probation. When I was in jail, it shocked me, dude. When I was in jail. Now, when I was in prison years ago, I've been out of prison for 8 years. But when I was in prison, I got all my tattoo work was done in prison. My whole body except my butt cheeks. Everything's done. And it was done because guys in there know how to take relays and know how to make homemade tattoo guns. When I'm in the county jail, there's no electrical plugs. You can't. There's guys tattooing in there, and it shocked me because they're using the water fountain, and they're making tattoo guns now that are based off water. And as the water's going through this tube, it goes into this cylinder. Let me take this apart. This is a tattoo gun right here being used in the county jails right now in Texas because they don't have electricity. So
I proposed last week on my poster.
This is a tattoo gun. The pin and needle come out here. This is hooked up to the water fountain. This is plugged in to the water fountain. They turn the water on. The water goes up this tube, and in this cylinder, there is a pin with a spiral pattern. As the water pushes through this, it spirals and spins this. At the end is a spinner with one little arm. And every time that arm hits this sprocket that's made out of a deodorant cap You know how when you turn your deodorant to make the deodorant come up, that little cap is now a gear because they took razor blades to cut gears into it, and now the water spins it at high velocity, and the gear hits the needle, and the needle,
Wow,
and they are tattooing using water from water fountains in the county jail now.
Wow. I can build a toothpaste bong, but I don't.
Shocked the hell out of me when I saw it. I said, "Man, you guys took it to a whole nother level." So
I got one tattoo. I did it myself. Sat on the toilet at 11. That one there. It was my little gang in school, Boot Boys.
Yeah,
we had to have a tattoo. Yeah,
I see it.
I had to hide it from my mother for 5 years.
So okay, beer guy.
Yeah,
I don't know who you are, and I don't even know why you're on the channel. So,
What's going on?
So, because 20 to 30,000 people are going to be listening to you in the next 24 hours.
There's 50,000 out there. There's like literally a squillion people.
What's up, man? What you about?
Yeah.
How do you know Martin?
Well, I think he said it earlier, didn't he? So
Flat Earth Convention 2016, 17 was it? Back in the day? Yeah, that was mega. That was. Yeah.
Went to Leicester Space Station before that.
I tell you one thing that I learned about Richard, Jason. I left a load of stuff in his possession for 5 years, and it was still there 5 years later, and you give it back.
Wow.
That trustworthy.
Yeah, man.
And it was expensive stuff as well. He could have easily, sold it or whatever. But yeah, that was good. Doing that. Thanks.
Yeah,
so what's going on? What?
So you just said then, didn't you? You just said about all the jail type stuff. So I heard you on something you were doing a live. And you were saying that you kept seeing that it was a financial transaction. You saw that the price on the bail or whatever, and the days started reducing.
Yes, well, see, that was very odd to me because, I was told, once a month when I was on bond, I had to report. They say, "Hey, are you going to leave the state of Texas?" Because I was on bond. I said, "Yes, I'm going to Tampa, Florida." I said, "Okay, well, just submit that paperwork here so we can know." I said, "Cool." I said, "I'm going to Virginia Beach. I'm going to North Carolina the following month." So I had to submit this paperwork. And every month that I took a trip to go do a meetup, they reprint my paperwork up for the bond. But I kept having court dates. And when I go to court, I would give my court date and it would be rescheduled. But when it was rescheduled, my attorney often told me, he said, "Hey man, don't even go to court. Don't even go to court." I had a really good attorney. I still do. He's on retainer now. But he said, "Don't even go to court." He says, "I already know they're going to reschedule it." He says, I'll send you the email." So I said, "Okay, I just need to make sure because I'm gonna make plans. I'm gonna go do something." He says, "Don't even worry about it." He says, so my court dates would be 4 or 5 days in the future. And my attorney would just send me an email saying, "Don't even worry about it. But they've already told me they're going to reschedule. They just haven't printed it on the docket yet." So, okay. And I would get these rescheduling orders. That's what they're called in Texas, in Montgomery County. It's called a scheduling order. I would get an amended scheduling order. And when I get it, it's an official court order from the court signed by my judge. I would go through there. The officers of the court all have their signatures. It's stamped by the state of Texas. I get it. And in the right-hand margin, it started off at $12,000. And every time the court did something, either scheduled a hearing or went in there for evidence, or I went in there and I was able to tell the court straight up how stupid this was and how this was really corporate competitors weaponizing the courts against me, and I haven't even committed a crime. It's dumb. And so this every single time I made a court showing, that number dropped.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, so I couldn't get a straight answer from anybody as to what the hell this was. It wasn't money I owed. It's not money that I ever paid out. Have nothing to do. I paid my attorney. I never paid the court shit. I paid my attorney. So,
did it have a number on it? Did it have a number on it? The number kept changing.
Yes, the number kept changing, kept lowering. So I asked my bond agent. I asked my bond officer. I only saw her once a month, and she was really cool. And because my charges were like Nothing. It's like these charges were almost nothing. I mean, I didn't. It's not a robbery. It's not an assault. It's not. This is dumb. It's not a property crime. It's just dumb. So they gave me a lot of latitude. I've traveled all over the United States doing what I needed to do, but she couldn't answer that. She just said, "Oh, it's just something that's on everybody's court paperwork." I'm like, that's not a good answer. Now, people in the chat are all telling me all this. I don't get into it. I don't get into it. But I do see that the criminal justice system is involved, and there's money changing hands. I don't know where the money's coming from or where the money's going, but there's definitely money changing hands when people are being prosecuted. There's no doubt.
The prisoners are creating that generation of the money.
Oh yeah.
Every prisoner generates the money going in there. The reason the price kept changing, how much was on it. What did you call it? An order, something order.
Yeah, it's called a scheduling order.
Scheduling order. So the last word of that is order. What it was, it was an order to pay. So in reality, and what people are doing, they're endorsing these orders to pay, and then going, there you go, paid off in full, done. Do you know, like the speeding tickets as well, and things like that. In America, it's unbelievable how much you guys can get away with. It's literally written. Your laws are taken from ours, but ours are harder to find, and yours are just plain straightforward. There's a guy that I've been following. He's called Brandon Joe Williams. I want to give him a plug because he's incredible in what he does. He's basically going to car forecourts, asking for the finance documents, endorsing them in a certain manner, giving it them back, and as soon as they're letting go, that they've then tendered payment to the dealership. So they're getting all these cars for free, and they're suing them to get paid as well, because they're creating that financial instrument and generating that money. That's how the banking system works. The banks don't lend any money. They purchase securities. That's what a bank does. They don't lend money, they purchase securities. So you're generating that security with what you're doing when you sign any mortgage loan, any sort of financial agreement. If you just sign and you don't put anything before or after, that's called a blank endorsement. That means that
I get it. All that's really interesting, and I don't want to turn this into a big sovereignty deal.
Yeah.
Listen, when I was in prison, I met several guys who had gotten in trouble, real trouble, because they had copyrighted their name. Once they went through all the legal procedures, copyrighting their name, dotting all their I's, crossing all their T's, they wanted to be sovereign and get all those rights, privileges, and immunities back. They sit there and once they copyrighted their name, then they turn around and sued the U.S. government for violating copyright and using all capitals in their name or whatever the hell it is. I don't know all the details, but I used to read all that paperwork and look at it. And every single time that they went through all the paperwork, they always said the same thing. Well, I'm in prison because I filed something wrong, or this was filed out of order and all that. But you can do it. So I never seen anybody successfully go through the whole sovereignty movie in the United States, because prosecutors trip them up and send them to prison as soon as they make one single mistake on that paperwork.
Yeah, it seems like a long shot, Riches, with the free man thing. You know, I've been looking.
I would never. I'm never going to go through that, because I saw the thousands of hours required for those guys to go through all that legal code and to file all the proper paperwork and to pay the fees to get things. And man, let me tell you, in the end, every one of those guys that I met were in prison with me, telling me the story of how, well, I could have been a sovereign, but I messed up my paperwork. That's I've done it. I can't do it.
Let's have a look at Brandon Joe Williams. He's the guy. He's the guy that you want to have a look at. There's thousands of people that are doing it. It's he's got what's he got? I think he's got like 30,000 or something on Facebook. People following his work.
Don't ever think that it's like a trap, like, you know, like the thing, the Ponzi scheme.
But he's an agent. Like he's an agent.
Yeah, because I notice a lot of these people who are going with the free man stuff, they're just them, and it's just pushed by them. Some of them got fucking suits on that look like them. And I'm like, you know, and they're pushed, and YouTube doesn't restrict any of this free man stuff. They don't get a banner, they don't get view restrictions. It's just like nothing's going on with it. So that gives me suspicion with it. And like Jason just said, you know, I've met shit tons of people in the free man movement. Oh, my best friend lost her house because she sent a letter to the Prime Minister. Next thing she knows, she's got bailiffs running up her house, and they forced her to sell her house to pay like a shit ton of
you need to go. You need to
the beast. They come and got her. She lost everything because of going down that road. And I know another person that lost a lot of stuff as well through going down that road. You lost everything. I seen a guy on a documentary, on Billy Moore's documentary the other day, on the streets, homeless guy, and this guy was proper intelligent, and he said, I lost everything because basically I went down what they call the rabbit hole during COVID, and he said, and I found out a lot of stuff and found out, and I wanted to be sovereign, and then next thing you know, boom, he's in a chopped doorway. So I understand, you know, the fundamentals of it, and you know, and the Magna Carta, and that we are sovereign and all that. But I tell you what, you try and play that out in the court of law and see how it goes down, because they just
you need to watch Bannerman YouTube channel. Or you can there's a TikTok that I've made of police saying, "All right, it needs to be signed paper."
Oh no, TikTok should be made illegal. If I ever get a rule in any regard, right, TikTok's going to be banned in the UK. The Prime Minister of Poland's banned it. It's just, it's like, you know, the people who produce this content, you know, they haven't got a really good human rights records, have they? Let's look at like the Cultural Revolution, for example. So these are the same people who've given us, and they've literally taken YouTube. Now, my YouTube's like, I've been doing it for 10 years. I love it. It's dead. It's fucking died on its ass. If TikTok's got the one half and they're taking it all away, and the other half is just being murdered by AI and that nauseating voice and all that weirdness that's going on with their videos in the background. It's just agonizing. So there's not actually, if it weren't for like me, Jason, and a few others, I don't even know what would happen to YouTube, you know. So psyops, brother. Let's just keep it. And this whole place of YouTube, this is how they get people. This is how they get people in cults. This is how they get people in psyops. This is how they get people minding.
I've had a lot of people send me the straw man material in the mail, trying to get me on board with it, trying to get me to promote it, trying to educate me for free. You know, people who charge, you know, the public money to do this. Listen, man, I'm sorry. I smell trap everywhere. I just can't. I mean, it's how come we don't have a single person who's living the dream, living the life, successfully did all that, and can prove it to other people that, look, man, I did it.
The newest I got that is John Levy, right, who posted a video saying that he took the number off of his national insurance number, which was apparently a bank account, and he bought 4 tires for his truck out of it. He said he put the number out of his national insurance number into the bank account, which is apparently a bank account that belongs to us because we're sold on a stock exchange.
Yeah, you can look it up on.
And he bought wheels, but then everyone told him in his comments, look, they're going to have you for that. They're going to come down tenfold on you for just doing that. So there is this, you know, this thing that there's supposed to be a bank account, but I've known people in this community for years, like Dave Moore, for example, who's a constable in the truth in the.
Do you know what he's doing? Do you know what he's doing at the minute?
Simulation.
He's pulling together all people's mortgage debt. He's pulling it all together, and he's getting gold. And he's going to be. I'm only guessing this last bit. He's going to be leveraging on it. He's going to be leveraging on the debt asset, making it into a security, getting it into a trust, and trying to. This is what he's doing. It's on, Vogue.
I've seen it. I know. I've seen
Vogue,
I know exactly what you're on about, Richard. I know what's going on in the community.
You talking about John Levy's doing that?
No, we're talking about allegedly Dave Moore, who's a constable in the free man movement. He's quite high up in it. You know, he's been doing it for like 10 years.
I'm familiar with allegedly Dave.
Yeah,
I've never done it. I've never collabed with him, but I know who he is.
Yeah, I was selling his books at that Flat Earth conference.
Well, I was in a festival with him this year presenting, and David Weiss turned up as well. Jason, I met David Weiss in this festival.
Yeah. Really David Weiss and I were supposed to have a.
Yeah, it's a shame. I know. He did get the wrong idea about that, and he was broke down and all that. So maybe you'll hear that it wasn't you. He does interviews and stuff.
No, he and I were supposed to go on David Nino Rodriguez and just have a friendly chat about the commonalities between simulation theory and flat Earth. So but about an hour before the show, he backed out.
Oh, right. Oh, that's a shame. Hey ho. So, Richard, what do you think of the state of the nation at the moment? You having a good time?
that race, weren't it? We had that riot that everyone started rioting, didn't they? And started smashing.
Yeah, I know. I'm in a place that's volatile for riots, but like in North Korea now, we're in a place now. We're not allowed to say hurty words anymore.
No.
We're very careful what we say.
Yeah,
Not that I say hurty words anyway, because I don't. You know. I had a little brainstorm yesterday when Putin like offered us out and said he was going to nuke America and Britain, and I was like, "Will he?" And my head went because my father like literally spent 4 years fighting him in World War II, and he was like, my father couldn't stand him. He's like, if we were in the docks and there was one like Russian ship listed, and it was like going to capsize, and he was going because you couldn't hardly speak English. He was going fucking capsize, you bastards. He couldn't stand it. He said they just done such terrible things. So I took his word for it, and you know, so it's in me. It's ingrained in it. So you know, they're all mobilizing. They sort of think that they're about to take over Europe. I don't know if that's actually going to happen because the people in my area, they ain't even going to be taken down in any regard. So there's that. So
yeah, you guys over there got a lot worse than we do, man.
Jason, the only time in my entire life that I've ever felt any liberty or freedom, right, was in Texas. Honest to God. Because everyone just leaves you carry on. Yeah, everyone just does their own thing. And it's like, you do you. And it's just like, no one's in your business. You walk around the equivalent here, Jason, right, is you walk around in a city here and like you catch eyes with the wrong person and you're in a fight. They're coming over. It's like, what are you doing? What are you looking at me for? And it happens all the time to me. So,
hey, beer guy. When we were in New Mexico, we went to this national Pueblo monument.
Yeah.
And there's a security officer there, and they don't want you to go across this sidewalk and go investigate this mountain and boulders. And they strategically placed all these real thickets and trees so you wouldn't see higher up the mountain. And they got you. The sidewalk directs you to this bullshit ass place. Remember, we found the concrete that is supposed to be ancient Spanish deal. Yeah, it's all fake. It's all fake. Whole Spanish mission, Pueblos, Kivas are all fake. We even saw tractors in the distance building another one further down the mountain.
Yeah.
So there's a security guard there, and as soon as we show up, we get out our vehicles. We're in 2 or 3 vehicles. We get all out the vehicles, and we're walking across the parking lot. Martin walks straight up to the security guard. Oi, do you like your job? She just looks at him baffled, and before she can say anything, she's like a park ranger. She's way bigger than a cop. So he goes, oi, do you like your job? And then turns around and slides up next to her, puts his arm around her. Can I get a picture?
I got photos. I've done exactly the same in Austin. I went up to this
state trooper.
He was massive. He was like 7 foot tall, this state trooper. And I went up to him and said, "Can I have a photograph of a real state trooper?" And he went, "Yeah, sure." Put his hand on my shoulder. I absolutely stunk of weed. I'm like,
that's right. You did. You smell bad like pot too, man.
I still had it in my hand, Jason. It's like,
that shit was hilarious. Yeah. You should have seen the look on her face. Like, is this really happening?
I know. She was pretty too.
Matt is nice, isn't it? Matt is awesome.
I didn't know they had power. I have watched Yogi Bear. I do get that they have power, but wow, I didn't know.
That was good shit.
That place
was so fake. Oh my God.
I know. You're supposed to show as much respect to a CEO as you are to a janitor. Like every human with exactly the same respect. And that's what I got told off for this when I was in the Merchant Navy. It's like, Martin, they work for Lloyd's. Even I call them sir. I'm like, well, I ain't calling them sir. That's about you. I'm just like, I'm not like saying that it's like you got to like back down and stood on. It's like you're my better. I just can't do that. It really don't fit with me.
Hey, beer guy, do you have a YouTube channel? Somebody in the chat wants to know.
Yeah, I've got YouTube and I've got TikTok. The only reason I put stuff on TikTok, it gets way more views.
How many views do you get on there? Millions.
I got 4,000 on that law one other day, which is loads, because I've got 150 subs on YouTube. I don't put that much on really, but
Everyone's got the TikTok.
I've got.
I hear a lot of good about TikTok. A lot of people ask me to put my stuff on there.
Me. You got is it a D Live or another account you just uploaded all your stuff to, Jason? Is it BitChute?
Oh, I've got. Oh no, I'm all. Yeah. We're putting all the Archaix material on BitChute, and as soon as Big John's done with that, he's gonna start on Rumble, then Rockfin, then Odyssey. Yeah, we're finna flood them. We're finna flood it.
Yeah, that's the way to get longevity in this, is cover all of the formats.
It's like Jesse Al, isn't it? He puts it on everything. I was on his show. I was on his show doing a bit of talking on there.
Who's that?
Jesse Al. He's come on Archaix before. But Jason's been on.
Oh, Jesse Howe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Jesse, man. He's got good energy, man. He's got real good energy. Yeah, he's first started interviewing me right after I was on with Santos and Logan, and I had about 30,000 subs, and I was on Jesse Howe's show like 3 different times, and then I wanted to pay that back after I had like 150,000 subs. I invited him to my channel. Said, "Hey man, you come tell my community what you do," and he came onto my channel. While he was cooking. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. What was this rumor I've been hearing about you, Martin?
Yeah.
I heard a rumor about you doing a cooking show.
Yeah, well, what I found out in this place, right, is you've got to adapt like a chameleon to survive. And if you don't change, you'll end up like, remember Blockbuster's video when they wouldn't go away? Yeah, you end up like Blockbuster's video. So to do that, I'm changing my thing. I'm doing everything I can. It's pretty sad, really. But yeah, I do a cooking program called Truth Bites, where I cook my tea, and I talk about just philosophical, truthy things, really.
I like it.
It is. It gets loads of views, and people really, really enjoy it. So I'm doing a cooking program. I'll make a video about anything. The thing is, I've ended up like one of those sad internet influencers. They've literally got elf-fluencers now. They're elf people that are influencers, and they literally will take a photograph doing any fucking thing. They're famous just for being. I'm an elf, by the way. I've got elf years, as you can see. I'm from an elfling kingdom, and I met another elf, and she told me I was an elfling king. So I think that might.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you met an elfess, and she convinced you that you're an elf king.
Yeah. Funnily enough, she was first mate on a ship I was on, and her name was Beatrice, and she was in Mensa, and she was super intelligent. She was really beautiful. Her claim to fame was that she slept with Oliver Reed, the movie star. She said she did. So she said, I slept with Oliver Reed in the 60s. I was like, wow. But yeah, she told me. She said, I'm an elfling. She said, if anyone ever told you? I said, no, I've been trying to find out for years what the hell I am. She said, well, you're an elfling. She said, not more than that, you're a king. And she told me about my years, and she had exactly the same years. And I was like, wow, I'm an elf. But all of us, they say self, yourself, which has got elf in it, or, be yourself. It's funny how there's some sort of connection to elf in our etymology, like be yourself, elf. Myself, elf. So yeah, I definitely think I'm an elf king, guys. Check it out.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, man. Makes perfect sense, especially with all these weird magical powers and stuff. Elves have magical powers too.
Do you know
Jay Hart says that she learns everything, a whole bunch from TikTok. So, Jay, I may do that. I may have Big John start putting things on TikTok.
Yeah.
I do look like an elf, Mario. I do look like an elf. Thank you. I've been thinking about it 100 times, but I'm just going to, because I'm so stubborn, I don't want to end up like Blockbusters for not jumping over to TikTok, but I'm going to stand to my convictions here. I'm not going to go to TikTok. Okay? You do your first. I may actually, because when you uploaded all your stuff to BitChute, you can just swipe and do a multi-upload, can't you? Because that would be really groovy, because I got so much content.
I don't know if you can do, John tried to do several at a time, and he had to go back and re-upload a few of them because It didn't work. So he just started doing it one at a time. Now I can link BitChute to YouTube, and every live, every video I do will transfer automatically. But I don't want that, because when people go to BitChute, you can go see a whole bunch of videos that are no longer on my YouTube channel now, because I've redone them. I'm talking about absolutely original simulation theory videos. My original videos, you remember I did 300 videos before I even had 1,000 subs. A lot of those videos are on Archaix TV. A lot of them are being uploaded to BitChute. Some of them are 8 minutes long. Some of them are 30 or 45 minutes long. But I've redone those concepts multiple times in longer presentations. Those are on YouTube. But a lot of people like to go back and see those originals. Back when I was doing live videos and I only had 12 people in the chat, because I did a whole bunch of those.
Oh, I can't look at me in the past. I got like literally 1,200 videos I could upload, but I thought I just can't even look at me. I'm like, oh my God, look at me. I don't know anything about anything. I'm so naive. Pre-America Martin.
Yeah,
man.
Nothing.
Everything I do is a learning curve. I don't know anything about any of this stuff. It took me forever to figure out YouTube settings. You know what I mean? It's all a learning curve.
Yeah.
I became what I am today by trial and error. But what I've been for a long time is just a writer. I'm just an author. I got a whole bunch of books packed with bibliographies, all kinds of stuff. I've written over 20 books. And depending upon how you slice them up, I've had about 20 of them published. Now it's down. It's because I've combined them. Like Chronicon used to be 5 books. It's now 1,055 pages. So now I count that as one book. So I'm down to 13 books published right now. But that's what I am. That's what I am. I'm a researcher and a writer. I never envisioned ever in all the years that I was doing writing and all the publishing contracts that I've received since 2006, I never once imagined that I would be doing what I'm doing now. And be over 1,000 videos into it now. It's crazy. I never imagined this.
Imagine it. YouTube's awesome. Thank you, YouTube, for the best time. Yeah, all the best things have happened to being because of YouTube. You know, I was on a downward spiral and everything went west until YouTube came along and the truth. And then I had like the weirdest thing happened to me. I just had like this non-audible voice say to me, if you let this pass you by, you're going to regret it to the day you die. And I was like, and it literally shook me, Jason. It shook me to the core. It's like, was that me saying that? It's like, yeah, I think it was. So I wasn't going to let this truth thing slide me by. I thought I got a place in this. I definitely got a voice in it, because I was well on. I'd been listening to Coast to Ghost for years, and I'd read Von Daniken by the age of 14. I was well into truthy things, so makes perfect sense actually. But yeah, YouTube is in a bit of a mess at the moment. They've smashed adverts into it, which is really horrible.
Where's that at?
YouTube. They've done this thing since January where they're just smashing adverts into everything. It's agonizing. They got rid of all the good stuff. If you look for like videos I used to like years ago, and you just look them, they're just not there anymore. They've got rid of so much stuff. But yeah, going in regards with Eric Dubay, I'd love to talk to Eric Dubay. Would you talk to Eric Dubay, Jason?
Oh yeah, I've said it on my channel that if you ever wanted to come on the channel, he's more than welcome. I've said it 2 or 3 times. It's just he's doing his own thing. We have a lot of the exact same understandings, and beliefs. He just I don't know. He's all right. He's all right, guy. I'm not a flat earther. I'm a simulationist. But really, if you want to just sit here and split hairs, is there really a difference? You know what I mean?
No, he's done videos on simulation.
Yeah,
in the past.
He and I also kind of agree on the artificial construction of the New Testament as well. So, Ralph Ellis educated me recently on a whole new. I've already got 4 research threads on how they put the story of Jesus together, and they're all solid. four different scenarios from the ancient world that were all put together over a 200-year period to produce Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I've got that. I got a whole library full of scholarly material where they broke all this down. It's called the Q document, and the Q comes from the German Quell. It's the unknown source document for which Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were written from. So I put all this together, and it's in my Dark Scriptures playlist and in a lot of my newer posts on Twitter. But Ralph Ellis has given me a fifth. He's given me a fifth data set now on how the story was put together. And I didn't know anything about Jesus, King of Edessa. But if one thing holds true, I've already shown on YouTube, Edessa is the source of one of the biggest Christian psyops of all time. So it doesn't surprise me that Edessa is also partially the origin of the gospel story, because the whole Prester John psyop was invented and carried out in Edessa as well. This is when they were trying to get all the Christians to all the Christian Crusader armies, the Normans, the Catholic, the Vatican was trying to get all these Europeans to donate their time and their lives and their resources into going to liberate Jerusalem. And in order to do that, they kept throwing out this psyop about Prester John. If we'll just make a showing, if we'll just show up in arms, the armies of Prester John on the other side of the Euphrates will come and join us, and we'll defeat the evil Muslims. So huge psyop. I got a video about it, but it's Ralph Ellis. He was on my channel recently, man, and he gave me a fifth data set that makes even more sense of how the Jesus story came about.
Well, I've got my own ideas about all that as well. It's all narratives, isn't it? That's what I'm finding. You know, it's all right. If this place is a simulation around us, well, then what does that make us? Are we AI?
I don't know if it makes us AI, but I think that because we're jacked in to this experience, the central nervous system is nothing but filters. So it's filtering out who you really are. It's filtering out any thought process you had prior to being jacked in the system. It reboots every time that your avatar has to get an upgrade, or your avatar has to go through an editing process, which is not possible until you are actually removed from your avatar. We call this the sleep-wake cycle. So while you're in REM sleep, you're not in your avatar anymore. You're gone, and you're somewhere else. And your avatar is getting all the upgrades. It's going through all the edits. It's getting programmed with all the reality tunnels that are possible for you between now and the next sleep cycle. Because one thing you will never be able to do without malfunctioning is avoid sleep. I don't care. You can go 4 or 5 days without sleep. You can use drugs and maybe go 2 weeks without sleep. But your avatar and your ability to process information is going to be affected to the point of death the longer you go.
Yeah, agreed.
So, I bet it was like last night.
Yeah, I had crazy dreams last night as well. And I do remember my dreams as well. Most nights. I remember aspects of my dreams most nights. And if you Google it, apparently not many people do, but I do. And my night activity is far more going on than my daytime activity. I can guarantee you that. Yeah. And when I wake up, I have to reset every morning. I'm like, first I have to have a download of information, like who am I? I'm Martin. Yeah. What am I doing? What am I doing today? And I got to download all of this. It's like if I've just been born, like unplugged out of the Matrix. You know, when Leon, when he's baldy and he's just been unplugged. I've never used my eyes before. I'm like that every morning. I think all of us are. So how do we know that we haven't had all of our memories and everything like Dark City? Just I'm going to mention yesterday wasn't really that yesterday. All my troubles seem so far away. Wasn't even there.
Yeah, I mean, you know the lyrics to "Row, Row, Row Your Boat."
Oh sure, yeah. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream.
Yeah, man. I don't think we have much to worry about.
Well, that's what all philosophers.
We just believe we do. We believe we have to worry about.
Well, Buddha is a simulation. You know, if you get down to all the philosophers and they get down to the nitty gritty, they all say pretty much the same thing, I think. And they say that we're gods, don't they? Or we're the gods, baby gods, learning to be bigger gods in this place. Is that true? Is that the fact that we are that powerful in our real being that we can manifest or make the world that we want to as a collective, and they have hijacked that into their consciousness for to think about this and think about that, and our fake education and everything, and a fake paradigm. Man, imagine what we're going to be when we get back to what we really are.
Well, I'm gonna add something to it. I think we built this simulation. I think this is absolutely 100% of human provenance. It's technologically advanced beyond anything that we can experience inside the construct, because it's the outside of the construct that has the real technology which made this experience possible. And I think we're going to be very surprised once we're no longer jacked into the system, what an awesome ride it's been. And then once we're no longer jacked into the system, we're also going to remember all the other rides we've been on together as well. And a whole bunch of us in the chat probably know each other outside the construct as well by our true identities and not our pseudo avatars that we're in right now. Goose pimples.
Yeah. It's when you see people and you just know them. It's happened to me loads in the truth movement. It's like it's maybe not look the same. It's just the vibration, and it's like I just know you, and it's just like it's connected to me. Then it's just the weirdest thing. But I do think we all know some, outside of this. Maybe we all live in the same place. We're all like in these pods playing this game. We're all like
my life is pretty much just one big synchronicity. Like every time I'm turning around and looking at stuff, it's like throwing things in my face. I did an install this morning for a Scottish woman, and then my second job that I went to, I swapped some equipment, and I looked up and there was a train on the thing, and it was a Flying Scotsman. I was just
on the mantelpiece.
Yeah.
I was like, I got the Flying Scotsman. Yeah. In my cupboard, a full train set.
Well,
hey, check this out. Let's assume, arguendo, that what you just said is very accurate. That we're in pods, not like the Matrix, not like the Matrix movies. That's not even the original Matrix. If you don't know, those two gay brothers rewrote the actual Matrix deal. The original Matrix story. The AI was using human brains to increase its own processing power. What those two directors did in the Matrix movies is changed it to the AI using human avatars as a battery source. Totally changed everything, grossed people out. It caused nightmares for people. But I don't buy into that system. Let's assume, arguendo, that we are in some type of pods, but we're in our real bodies, not these fake ones we're wearing right now. Let's assume that this is the scenario. If you and I, Dawn, everybody here, Tracy Royal, Aaron, Marianne, Peace Frog, everybody I see in the chat, Face Diaper, Jew M Nose, Catherine Massetti, everybody I see, Mr. C. Listen, if we are in some type of pod temporarily on the outside of the construct, in order that we can collectively experience a pseudo world, a simulation altogether, then does this make sense of what people see in the so-called psyop called alien abduction phenomenon? Because they keep seeing the same thing. They keep seeing other humans wearing things they really don't recognize, in rooms they really don't recognize, but the other humans are like some type of supervisors or medical personnel. They really don't understand what's going on, but because they are the observer, they're not even looking at themselves to see if it's really the simulation version of themselves, or did you just get pulled out for something in the editing process and woke up in that pod and looked around in the real world for a second before they jacked you right back in? And the psyop to control that is alien abduction, when really you had to be pulled out for some reason for a minute, temporarily worked on, whatever, before you were sent back into the experience.
That's highly interesting. You should say all that. I never actually thought about any of that.
Well, I've been thinking about it ever since. I've read Dr. Roger Lear's material about the alien abduction phenomenon and all that. And it's like, you know what? It's almost as if inside the construct, the AI is always producing evidence of extraterrestrials and aliens because it's an excellent cover story. When the real deal is that even in the 1400s, they thought fairies were taking their children, and then their children would show up. You know, and the whole area had been combed, and they couldn't find those kids. Yeah. So I don't know. Just an idea. It's just an idea, but I really believe that, you know, we're in a closed system. There ain't no UFOs going in and out the atmosphere. In a closed system, the UFOs and UAPs, this is all part of AI generated, basically pyrotechnics to fool people into believing this phenomenon is real. When the real story is shit. There's a reason to pull people out. And sometimes when they're pulled out, they wake up, but they think they're in a spaceship or an underground facility when they're actually outside the construct and you're in your real body now. But then for whatever reason, they send you right back in. And then now you're back in your fake body.
Yeah, I knew a guy years ago, Jason. He took a drug called cyclodine. It was a psychiatric tablet accidentally. And the effect that he told me, he said, well, fuck me, I popped out of here. I said, what do you mean? He said, I was in a room with all guys around the table. And they said to me, you're not supposed to be here. The next thing I know, I'm back here. I was like, what?
I've heard that. I have heard that. Yeah, see, there's a book by David Jacobs. It's about 30 years old, maybe older than that. It's a book by David Jacobs called The Threat. I read that book, and it's always been on my mind how weird it was that all these hundreds of alien abduction stories, how weird is it that when you open up your eyes, you see a damn human in a lab coat? How weird is it that you're seeing normal rectilinear architecture? Who made up the rules that aliens have to use rectilinear architecture?
I've got to go. I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Okay, Richard. No, you're a good point there. Yeah. You know, everything is in this place, if you look around you, manufactured by man. And most things, you know, anything comes out of the imagination, you know. One thing I've learned is that the mind is a very powerful thing. And it is what you think it is. And that's the same. And we're all having different experiences here, aren't we? You know, none of us experience the experience the same, do we? We see the world differently. We all have slightly different worldviews and stuff. But we all do share similarities, most of us in the truth community.
Yeah. So if your pod concept is true, and that we are in these pods, and it's a time dilation. We feel like we're living a whole entire lifetime.
In 1972. In 1972.
Yeah, it could be 19 minutes. Your whole experience here could be 19 minutes. Somebody else just said you might poop in your pod and they need to clean it out and you might wake up. They have to send you back.
No, people have had DNT experiences and lived an entire life, had 3 children, come back and said, put me back. I just lived an entire life. I got a family. And then
Philip K. Dick had that experience. Philip K. Dick had that experience when the mailman showed up at his door. So it started his whole career.
Yeah, you know, you can go to literally a different reality in this reality. So we're not confined. You think it's an enclosed system and this is all there is?
No, I think this is one of hundreds of thousands of programs that we've designed to experience exactly what we're experiencing right now. It's not one Star Trek holodeck. There's probably a menu. There's probably an arcade on the outside of this where you and I go up in here and say, hey, let's go ahead and enter this scenario.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to be Jason. I'm going to go through all this shit. Okay, cool. And then you're going to be Martin. This isn't our true identities, but we're going to sign up for these and we're going to go through this. And it might be a reward system. It might be some
like
type
cards, Jason, like top trump cards with our special abilities on there.
Yeah, man. It could be anything. It could be anything.
Yeah.
There could be public courts with these massive spherical holographic deals that are like cerebral interface holography that people can go up to and say, you know what, if I go sit in that chair right there, I'll only be here 19 minutes. But if I sit in that chair, once I'm in that chair, it's going to feel like an entire lifetime. And there's a risk. You don't even know if 30 seconds into it, you're going to die because at 7 years old, you got hit by a car in the simulation and you pop right back out. We just don't know. But because, like I said, a research tenet, if something is true somewhere, It's probably true everywhere. The very fact that in our own simulated experience now, we are now playing with technologies that 10 years ago we didn't even think would ever even be replicated or created. I'm going to have to assume these technologies have always been here. We just weren't allowed to experience them. So
it's looking,
that's what I feel.
It looks that way to me as well, Jason. Yeah. And now, you know, I'm getting more of a grips with how AI works and that since this integration, which is like started January, the weirdness. And then I looked at everything in the past with these new eyes and I'm like, hang on a minute, you know, everything seems to be altered. There has to be a reason. At first I thought, you know, they were completely fabricating history. And I'm like, because, you know, 1984 book actually tells you that this is how they gain control is they extract your fiber or your origin of being and then you know, from who we truly are. I'd love to know you know, what we were. You know, we could have been, you know, a really powerful peoples. I think feel that we were. I feel that we were, and I feel that we're feeling it too. And I feel that the powers that should not be a feeling it. You know, to me, the system's doing the dying fly. Yeah, it's doing that. It's literally going. So why is the system crumbling? Why have they forgotten how to run a civilization all of a sudden? Yeah, I think that is basically what's happening with the truth. I think that, you know, everyone waking up. You only need a table full of truly awake people to how this thing works, and that's going to affect the entire field, the whole thing, really. So I think that there could be a point, you know, where there would be a complete replacement of society and civilization to a whole new paradigm, unthinkable to the way it is now. It would be just something completely new and fantastic.
So I want to build on your pod, what you said about the pods. Okay, if you and I agree that we could be, assuming arguendo, in pods experiencing a time dilation to where we're living out a whole life, but actually in the real world where we're from, it's a few minutes. So if we can agree that that's a possibility, then we can do it. Then let's say arguendo, we agree also on the next tier, which is sometimes things get interrupted and we actually get pulled out and we wake up and we see other humans in a weird environment. And when we go back, we're thinking it's extraterrestrials or UFOs, or at least that's what the media is telling us to interpret that as. Let's just say it. Let's just assume arguendo, you and I are on board with that. Both of these tiers of understanding. This changes everything for the next tier, because if we're being tended, if we're being observed, if there are custodians that are watching over our bodies while we're having this foreign experience in a controlled environment, if there are custodians, then that means there are anticipated problems. The next tier I'm going to propose is the origin of demons, because many people have had real experiences with hateful, angry, demonic entities which are disembodied, meaning we're dealing with intelligences that are pissed, they're angry, they're mad, and they hate us because we have something they do not. Now, in the religious perspective, we think they hate us because we're alive. No, I think it's deeper than that. They're angry and pissed because they are stuck in a construct and they have been severed from their avatar and they can't get back until the program reboots or resets, and they're stuck here. A demon is a disembodied intelligence. What is a disembodied intelligence? It is an intelligence that has lost their avatar. What is the avatar? It is a vehicle through the construct. Therefore, a demon is an intelligence that is lost in programming and unable to get out, just stuck there. So it's just ideas, man. These are the things I think about. This is Jason when I'm flipping through comic books thinking, shit, could this be real?
You're not the only one, Jason. I think it's the same when I watch a lot of these movies. They give us, I think, little bits of truth in with all of them. You know?
I got spooked by a YouTube video I saw where that guy was playing a video game and he's just exploring New York City, and he ends up confronting an NPC, just one of the many NPCs. And when the NPC, when the computer program interfaced the NPC with the NPC started saying some real shit the dude verified about Canada, about a small town in Canada, about a woman that lived there and a kid and her husband disappeared or he died in some type of accident or something. And the dude in the computer game was that guy. And he's asking the gamer, how do I get out of here? Can you talk to me for a little bit longer? I'm trying to figure out, but I need to get a message to my wife. She doesn't understand. And the dude didn't realize that in the real world, he was pronounced dead. But his awareness is in this damn video game, and it spooked this gamer out. So whether that was real or imagined, it doesn't matter. Once that entered my consciousness, I applied it to the whole, and I thought, oh man, that changes everything on demons. I'd be mad as hell too if I had signed up for a program with a mega corporation on the outside to go have the experience of my lifetime and to live in a construct for about 19 minutes that would feel like a whole lifetime, and then you fudged up, you did something dumb, and all of a sudden my actual consciousness is trapped in the very game that you created that I was supposed to enjoy, and I can't even get out until you reboot the game. I'd be mad too.
Yeah, but it's only going to be like a short space of time for them anyway.
I don't know.
Would it feel like a short space? Would it feel like a short space? They're experiencing the same time dilation that we are, a whole lifetime.
Do you know? Have you heard of people who've been in a coma and then they've woke up speaking like fluent French, and learned to literally just adopted a language? Have you ever heard of this?
I have heard of it, and it's just more evidence that our entire experience is programming.
Exactly what point I'm just making. It's just how is that even possible?
The Tower of Babel story. If the Tower of Babel story is true, then it proves that we're in a mathematical construct. Because all it would take for an overseer to get one population of people all working together, all speaking and understanding the exact same language, all it would take is a programming. Just alter the programming, and you can take one language and create 70 different dialects to the point where they can't even understand each other anymore.
Yeah. Well, do you know, regarding, going into one of these rooms and they're like non-aliens, maybe scientists. Now, when I was young, I've spoken about this many, many times. I couldn't sleep for a long period when I was about 6 or 7. I suffered with a thing called sleep paralysis, where I was petrified to go to bed. And when I did, the same thing happened every time, where I would literally be on fire and feeling it and in pain. And I trained myself to slap myself awake. I trained to wake myself by banging my head on the wall over years. But it was the worst case of sleep paralysis that I had. I thought that there was shit in the room, like things in the room. And what I was having in my head was, I'm being spiritually abducted here. And my body's still in the bed, but they're taking my soul. I'm going off to a different place. And, I went to this one place. I thought I was in like a Montauk boy, like I was being tested in the Montauk chair, because I had this recurring memory of being sat in a large leather chair with all these flat widescreen tellies around me. But I had no frame of reference for a flat screen telly in 1974, Jason. Tellies were big, massive. Yeah. But that was in my memories, like black tellies like now in my childhood memories. I've been testing this chair. But that night, I woke up the next morning and my legs didn't work for the next year. I was in a wheelchair for a year, Jason, because the sleep paralysis and weird. I swear to God Almighty. The doctors, no medical reason for it. They said it was a mental block caused through hyperactivity. So I did it to myself. And my legs went into entropy, where they just ceased to work. And they came back like a year later. And the sleep paralysis.
I didn't know that, man.
The sleep paralysis stopped dead that night.
Yeah, we have a moderator. Jahara. She's.
I know Jahara. I met her twice.
Yeah, I know you met Jahara. She has that sleep paralysis. She's told us before that when it takes over her, she's laying there and she says she can hear everything in her house.
You
She
can.
can hear her sons, she can hear everything that's going on in the house and even around the house, but her avatar won't respond.
No,
She has to wait to
fear.
naturally come out of it.
Not just fear. It's like you're just terrified beyond belief. I can't even put into words how much you're frightened. And I don't even scare easy, but you're petrified. And I scream and my mouth's locked open and no sound's coming out and I'm frozen. I mean, I'm frozen. I can't move. And that goes on. I used to be like depressed, like going to bed. It was like, I don't want to go to bed. It's going to happen again. For years, that was happening. And then it stopped the night and then my legs don't work. So there's more going on, I think, with that whole period of my life. That it's connected with all what's going on now. And the discussion that we've been having, Jason, I think it's connected along with that as well. Pod life, so to speak. Would make it perfect.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, I've never had that experience. I'm kind of weird. I don't remember my dreams, but I don't have any trouble sleeping.
That's for a reason.
I'm telling you, Morgan, as soon as I decide that, okay, my batteries are getting low, and I'll just turn around and lay down, and the world is gone. It is absolutely gone. When I decide to go to sleep, I am almost instantly gone.
You're out. Yeah, I know that. No, man, I'm a profound dreamer. I had one 2 nights ago, and I thought it was just like a bit unnerving. This dream, I was on the top of this hill, and it was like a really, really dangerous, muddy path that I had to go down on a bicycle. And I'm like, no, man, that's just like lethal. I'm going to die. And there was a woman next to me and saying, no, you won't die. Do it. I was like, I'm not doing it. And then she said, well, we'll run it then. I said, run it? And I just refused to go down that hill. And I woke up and remembered it vividly. And I thought, oh, what the hell was that all about? But I stood my ground and I didn't get bullied into going down that literally lethal hill. Not that you could get killed in your dreams anyway. But I remember my dreams to that extent. But, if you don't remember your dreams, it's just reality is really kind and it's protecting you, and you got to have data dumps. I pick up a lot of my information in the night. I go through my files, find pictures and do my posts in my dreams, in my night. I do them in the night.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It is crazy, man. It's the whole simulated environment deal. It makes sense of so many other things like subroutines. Let's discuss a subroutine that's very possible. Cryptids. Somebody mentioned cryptids in the chat. Well, that would be a good subroutine because we already know that Sasquatch, Yeti, Abominable Snowman, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call him, Yowies, it's all the same thing. They're seen all over the world. The very oldest one I've ever come across is in the book of Jasher that was slain in Talia by a hero named Zepho, who was the grandson of Esau. So this is the oldest account of a Bigfoot that I know of, but it's he's a hide and seek champion. No, you and I talked about this before. He's a hide and seek champion, but we know he's real. People have smelled the stench. Hair follicles have been found. Footprints have been cast, and yet, just like programming, right when the hunting dogs are cornering a Bigfoot, edited right out of the system.
Oh yeah.
So, same thing with.
I got another one.
Mothman.
Stigmata shows you what this place is.
Stigmata. Yeah, Stigmata. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
that shows you.
It seems like it's quite obvious that there are programs that are overriding other programs. And then when one seems to be working really well and the collective are responding to all the stimuli of one certain program, all of a sudden it's like the rest of us who pay attention to details realize, hey, what happened to this? What happened to this? What happened to this? What happened to this? And we discuss Mandela effect. But what really happened was one whole holographic reality tunnel was cleverly removed in the editing process. Although some of us remember those prior details. So, yeah, there's just nothing makes sense to me anymore outside the context of simulation theory.
Same. I thought a couple of years ago, actually during Rona, what was giving it away was the perfection. I was in a car park and I noticed there was just a beautiful flower on the side. And I thought, what is the point? If you just I know this place is an energy saving system. I mean, if you're out in the middle of, say, the desert or something, like middle of New Mexico, and you'll find this little flower there. And it's like, what was the point in rendering that? It's just like, and I thought, well, the effort in the perfection, I thought, give it away for me anyway, because there was just no need for these little, fluffs in the corner, so to speak. There was just no need for it. So, yeah, I noticed that. There's been a big change since 2020. This is a whole new. This is a reset. This is a full reset. There's no doubt about it. It's a whole new paradigm coming. What they got in mind. I don't really want to take part of their new, society. It's North Korea in Britain now. Everyone's in a grieving state. Looking at old photographs of Britain of what it used to be like, thinking that will never ever be here again, and it won't be. And it makes me want to cry to think that my home place.
I don't know. I don't know if it won't be. I don't know if it won't be, man. It
can't be. It's gone too far, Jason. You haven't got a clue. It's just gone too far. The inner cities we've been replaced population, and it's just the cities are run by armed gangs, foreign armed gangs. Can't even go out. Yeah. There's the entire army brought in to this country, all fighting age, all paid by someone, all in immaculate clothes, all with money, all without any cares in the world, all with no value to life like the Western people.
Right.
Have. Yeah.
Right.
So there's that. So there's complete replacement of society. It's unnerving, and it's not. The future. Everyone's in Britain. It's like, what the hell is going to happen next? Where is this going to go? It is. Yeah.
Well, I kind of have an idea where it's going to go.
So do I.
I kind of have an idea. Starting 2025, I really believe that one morning, all those foreigners that have been put in the UK and the United States and in Germany, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, especially France and Spain, all these Middle Easterns and Africans that have been put into these countries that are living on George Soros debit cards, they're going to all wake up one morning and not one of those debit cards is going to work. And they're not going to be able to pay their motels, hotels, go to the store.
They're not paying anything. They're not paying anything, Jason. British government are paying 18 million a day to house.
I get it, but I believe that funding is going to get cut.
Yeah, it might. But then where are they going to be on the streets? There's only Caucasians on the street. These people are put straight into hotels. And there's this 2-tier thing, but if you get your waiting list for somewhere to live, we have to wait there first. And it's just that insane. It's just we've literally been chucked on a bonfire here. The people who've paid their taxes for this country their entire life.
I believe it's all by design. I believe it's all by design. I believe you guys are probably going to have a civil war on your hands. Although it's not really a civil war. It's really an invasion, but it's going to be painted as a civil war. And I see that coming. And I'm telling you.
There's things happening in Wales at the moment. Wales is a test country for what will be happening in the rest of the world. They test it here on Earth first, man. And there's some weird things there. I've had people like these auditors knocking my door, and they're not giving up. They look like gangsters, and they want to literally question me about for the letters of the Queen, the King, and they give me $100 to do it. And I'm like, well, I never consented. I don't want to do it. It's basically a survey thing for God knows who. When they asked all your personal details, it's data mining you basically, and they offer you money to do it. So it's just it's such a police state now that they're just going door to door exactly the same as they did when they got everyone's number in World War II. They went door to door. They know about everyone. They know everyone's doing in a police state. There's nobody slips in between in the police state. They just don't.
They know. Yeah, you're right. They know everything. You're right.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So,
but they haven't stopped you guys from doing YouTube. Funky Prepper's still releasing videos.
Well, Funky Prepper I don't know if his channel's gone, mate. He hasn't made a video for weeks.
Really?
Really?
I know he was having health problems. I mean, his health was going up and down.
Yeah, it was. Okay. Well, I was going to ask you because I was thinking about him today, funnily enough. So, yeah, maybe he's here in Wales, Funky. He's not too far from me. So, yeah, would you think that in this reality that we're entering, that there are only X amount of creators in this reality that render it, and that are used by the powers that should not be to render their reality for them? Yeah, or the paradigm. There's only X amount of creativity people in here, that could do what we're doing. I mean, because like you said, you know, a lot of these people on, you know, all these larger formats, they're just in echo chambers repeating like other stuff, aren't they, from other people's stuff and other people's stuff from other people's stuff. It's like, where's the original voices and everything? So to that extent, like, you know, the creating of ideas, you only got to speak about a new paradigm and make it happen. If you can think it, you can make it happen. If you can believe, if you want to use that word because of the power of mind and where attention goes, energy flows, you can make it happen as long as you you focus enough. Because distraction is another thing. I'm good like you at blocking distraction, Jason. You know, I have like, we're in the YouTube game, so we have people talking and nonsense at us a lot of the time and shouting at us even, and all sorts of things going on. So
the censorship can only go so far. Let me explain.
Sure.
First of all, YouTube doesn't censor like you think it does. Everything is a business decision. There's a lot of channels that have disappeared because they were talking about things that were sensitive, but those channels didn't even make YouTube any money. So it was like a really easy business decision to make. It's like, yeah, you know what? You're not really making any money anyway, so they axe those channels. Now, it also keeps everybody else in check, in line. You're very careful about what you put on YouTube because you know of these other channels that have been axed. It's like
models, Jason. Repeatable business models. If you
yes. I'm answering the question about content creators. You asked me how many content creators. Listen, you've gone pretty risky on some of your videos. I've gone pretty risky on some of mine, and the reason some of us are allowed to get away with it, it's that the type of content that we produce. You have to understand, as a business model, YouTube has very sophisticated AI software that is copying our videos. And on YouTube, YouTube owns its own channels. And you would think it's a real human that's giving dissertations on flat Earth. You would think it's a real person that's giving Tartaria images, showing all these Tartaria images, and you think it's a real person. It's not. YouTube has AI software that is harvesting original content creators' material like you and I. And then one of my Archaix videos can go through AI software and be broken up into 5 different videos, put on 5 different YouTube-owned AI channels, and YouTube makes a killing because they put all their ads on those AI-generated deals. And people think these other channels are really legit. When you can't research them, you don't know who they are. They're made to look real, and they're total bullshit. It's 100% YouTube-owned channel, YouTube-generated software, YouTube-generated thumbnails, YouTube-generated content based off harvested videos from those who are really producing original content. So you're never going to be able to stop that. It's not even illegal. You can easily take an Archaix video and run it through AI software and change enough to where you can't be accused of stealing Jason of Archaix's material.
It's like a different arrangement, isn't it? It's like you could change a song in a different arrangement.
That's right.
It won't be the original song.
I'm telling you now, they're already doing it, bro. They're already doing it.
I know.
They're already doing it.
Well, that's okay. At least I made my imprint into history. I'm not quite done yet.
Shit, they did it to you too. They did it to you too. There's a bunch of YouTube channels, dude. Those aren't real people.
I lost a channel this year with all my, like, there was 10 million views on it. It's like 1,100 videos and just all my content for like years on end, all my work basically. And they just took it. Just like they told me they didn't have to give me a reason. So they told me that much. It's like, why don't you give me the reason if you? But anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, they did me a favor actually because I was spread out all over the place thinly. So I got
what does YouTube? What YouTube want to do the most? They want to put ads on your videos. That's what they want to do the most because they have Fortune 500 companies that are paying a lot of money to do just that. So it's in their best interest to create a bunch of AI channels, but pretend they're not AI and that they're real people, and then all this badass content gets released, and it's awesome. It's just that's why I'm just not excited about. I'm just not excited about trying to go super professional and to have professional grade videos. I'm trying to keep my originality, man. People know,
Jason,
Jason put that together. You can tell.
Yeah.
So
no, do that, Jason. It's the personality as well. Like, you know, it's to separate. You know, these AI voices, they drone on. I can't listen to them for too long.
I know.
Yeah, and that imagery, and there's something weird going on with AI. It can't render words, and in the background, it has all people are all mangled. It's just like, what the hell is this? It's like it's just quite disturbing, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
so crazy.
yeah, I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy, like you said. I think earlier on your show last night, you said, "Oh yeah, last night." You said you're quite happy with the way things are, and I am. I like my little corner of YouTube. I do what I do, you know. It's exactly
it's gotten to the point where, you know, the goals that I had 3 or 4 years ago, now, if I was to go on something like Joe Rogan, which was a goal 3 or 4 years ago, you know what? Now it's like, damn, you just had all these shills. I'm going to be associated to them just by being a guest on your channel. Now the public's going to associate Jason of Archaix to this lineup. No, that's not happening. I'm not going to allow that on my watch.
See your point, but then you could be in the camp of this. It would be an opportunity to say, you know, you could even air that and, you know, and speak from, like, save the whole thing by being the real person. You know, I'd be tempted to, like, have my moment if I had millions watching and think, yeah, you know, shoot the crows and hang with the crows narrative is not really true. I don't think, you know, they have maybe some people on there that are not total shills. They're just like useful idiots. Definitely. So I don't think, I think, you know, you get some moments in life, you know, where you got to think, well, what good could I do? I could really get a proper word out here on, because, you know, that stuff's controlled. It's watered down truth, as you know. You know, that's what I'd be tempted to do, is just an opportunity to hit some hard truths. And if it was airing, they couldn't edit it out, but they can actually edit live YouTubes. I found out quite recently, which is quite unnerving. But I would have been tempted, Jason, to do that just because of, I know they're all shills and shit, but, you know, just to make my statement, you know, doesn't mean you are.
Right.
I don't think so. The gang knows you're not. I know you're not. You know, same with my gang. You know, they knows we're the real deal. So they just like, if we haven't got that concern, and everyone would be in your camp, is like, yeah, come on, you know, smash it for us, for truth. You know,
smash it for us.
Yeah, everyone. I think everyone would be rooting. I really do. You know, and you know, I think you would definitely own it with him and be on fire as well. You know. So that would be something to watch, I think.
I think Beer Guy found him a drink.
What happened to you, Beer Guy? Did you drop off the ends of the world?
No.
Did you?
No, my daughter's come back.
Yeah.
But I've got to go, man. She's poorly.
You're all right, brother.
Poorly. I really wanted to put loads of information and stuff I've written down and that. I don't know. Might have to try and get on another time. I don't know. But yeah, I've got to go, man.
Well, Jason had a show last night with loads of people on there, didn't you, Jason? Grabbing links.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I was gonna try and jump on, and just like introduce myself before I came on here. But I thought it was supposed to be 8 p.m. tonight. It's 7:30 now. I finished.
No, I got pulled back, brother. Sorry, I did write and tell you. Yeah.
Hey, I'm doing it again tomorrow, Sunday. I'm doing another 5-hour blowout tomorrow.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have a jump on then. I'll jump on. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you anyway for letting me on for just a little bit. I appreciate that. Great stuff and information that both of you guys do. I absolutely love both of you stuff that you do. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I think it's what I'm supposed to be doing. I want to make the world into one big homestead so that everyone can just pass food around to each other and be like, there's the food, there you go. And then we just walk through the streets and there's loads of free food on trees and everything everywhere. That's my
dream too, Richard. Yes, it's a good, beautiful dream there, brother.
Yeah. Right, I'll get off anyway. Thank you for your time, guys.
Okay. All right, man, later.
Have a good evening.
Rich. Bye, bro. That was different.
Yeah, he's all right. He reminds me of a good old boy. We just go. Yeah. I can go fishing with him.
Yeah, listen, he's good people, and he's no like airs and graces. He's as he is. He's safe. Yeah, I like him. He's a good little mate.
Yeah. Somebody made a really good comment about the AI. one thing the AI is never going to be able to do is L Peak. Yeah, L Peak said can't mimic charisma. So that's so you do have a lot of charisma, Martin. There's no doubt. Can't AI is not going to be able to replicate that. It would come off as artificial.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky to replicate me. I have realized that. It is really fooling though. You see some of these AI people and they literally look human, but it's the eyes. You look close in the eyes, you see it's all weird. You know, the eyes are not natural. But yeah, they definitely. So how long are we going to be going for tonight, Jason? Because I got a show a bit later.
No, I'm about to close it. We're 2 hours and 20 minutes is good because tomorrow I'm going to do 5.5, 6 hours. I'm gonna do another jam session, but because I've already showed off all those books, I only got 1 stack of books. I went through like 9 stacks of books.
I loved it.
And then I shared my website.
Yeah,
I
spent books, man. Beautiful.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time on that. So, but tomorrow I'm about to have nothing but back-to-back people coming on the whole 5.5 hours. People are gonna be coming on the show.
Wicked. Oh, definitely tune in for that. So I'm gonna tout a few of your customers here over to my channel.
Yeah, say that's what you do. What time? Look, in Texas it's 1:30 right now. So what time are you going?
In about 30, 45 minutes after I've had something to munch.
Yeah, man. You guys can bounce over to Martin Liedtke's channel because he's gonna be doing Flatter Day today.
I am doing a Flatter Day. It's gonna be very exciting. I've still got a bit of steam left in me. 3 hours here, 3 hours there. I'm sure I'll be all right. You did 6 hours, Jason, last night.
Yeah, well, almost 5.5. I'm about to cut it short anyway because I got to go check on my dad. You know, he got out the hospital last week.
No, so, I don't know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just.
Dan's awesome.
He's 82 years old, and one of his doctors overly medicated him on something, so a hospital had to readjust his dosage and he was taking a bunch of medicines to deal with symptoms for a medicine he didn't even need to take.
Shit.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
I'm about to go over there and check on him right now.
Oh. Anyway, send my love to Dan. That man is absolutely awesome.
All righty. I will holler at you guys later. Okay. It's been an awesome chat.
Yeah, really good. Thank you, Jason. Awesome.
Jump over to Martin Liedtke's channel. Martin's channel is in the description box. It's the very first link in the description box.
Yeah, I'll link it up here. There you are. I'll just pop it in chat there, guys. You can just come over and see what I get up to with my crazy world.
There it is. There's Martin's channel right there. It's also already in the description box as well. Just hop on over there. And Martin, say you got something. You got a presentation. You want to do something. You know you've been too quiet for too long, man. All you got to do is send me an email, man. You'll be right back on the channel.
All right then. I'm hovering around. I'm everywhere, mate. I'm omnipresent. Yeah,
omnipresent. All right.
Keeping an eye on everything.
All right. I'm gonna hit this beautiful outro, and I'm gonna go take care of my business, man. I will see all you guys tomorrow. We're going hard. We're gonna have taken guests. I'm taking guests from the chat the whole 5 hours.
Cool.
All right. Later.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for inviting me. Okay.
KX thing, but AIX is certainly worth looking into.
I'm most impressed that Jason is not going to tell you something. He's going to show you.
Archaix shows us if you record enough facts, the answers just stare you in the face.
A man who knows the facts is unafraid to joust with contrary opinions. That's Jason.
I can't have that dude on my show. You know how many guys I've had on here who are running from that dude? Be a mess.
Jason says being wrong gets us closer to being right.
You got to break free or die trying, guys.
Archaix showed me how to see if there was a tater in them onions.
Listen, Archaix isn't one guy against the Matrix that's dumb. No, it's a family of souls waking up.
If I've learned anything since finding Archaix, if something is true somewhere, it's probably true everywhere.
Jason said if it's true, we can see it from multiple different vantage points.
So I broke pattern and went up there and slapped that guy. Total pattern break.
If you get stumped, you got to break pattern.
Jason says you don't need to know how to read, you need to know how to think. I think that's where I went wrong.
Jason figured it out. People are smart and they can decide for themselves if something is true or not. No, I don't have anything to hide. I just don't want Jason anywhere near my accounting files.
There's a bunch of us who don't listen to Archaix. We signed a different deal. I think it's AIX or something.